I get stories from Stacy Peralta. When Tony said, hey, you can go over to that shoe store, they're giving shoes away to skaters. This is rad, So he goes over, hey, how you doing? So those guys in those days, that's what we would have the store manager, okay, you can give those shoes away.
All right, we are back, huh? We're back at the 9 Club, everybody. Today, we have a very special guest, Mr. Steve Van Doren is with us. How are you?
I'm doing great. Thank you very much for inviting me up here to the 9 Club.
Thank you for
coming, man.
And thank you for bringing all this amazing stuff that you're just going to gift us after the show. You got the what is this? The bronze shoe right there. We got the
huge shoe over here.
We got a massive shoe. I think that's Shaq's Van shoe, right?
That's
his new.
What
Old school
size
size 66. They call it a size 66.
Wow.
Let me ask you a question. Let's just jump right into this really quick. Why were Vans in the back in the day? Why were they just numbers? How come they weren't called? How come they weren't named anything?
It's amazing because we never called it authentic old school skate high. My dad was a systems guy.
Oh.
And so a 44 was authentic. Okay. A 45 was a boat shoe. A 46 was a leather boat shoe.
Now, this was just in his system? That's the number that he assigned
on the box. If you had a striped blue box.
Okay.
Again, men's shoes were in blue boxes. Boys and youth were in orange boxes, striped.
Mm-hmm.
Women and misses were in green boxes, and childs were in red boxes. So if you walked into the warehouse or any store, if you're looking for a men's shoe, go to the blue area.
So this was his own way of organization in the Vans ecosystem.
Yes, and we had our own factory. Again, 1966 when we started, my dad built a factory for a year and a half ahead of time. And when he opened up...
This was in Orange, right?
Actually, Anaheim.
Anaheim, excuse me.
So 66 to about 79, 80, it was like 13 buildings in Anaheim.
Wow.
And then we found a piece of property in Orange on Batavia.
Okay.
And moved all those buildings onto one piece of property where... It was a 70,000 square foot manufacturing, and then about 30,000 foot stitch and room, about a 40,000 foot warehouse, and then offices about maybe 50,000 square feet of offices.
Okay.
And I had up to 1,800 people working there, making shoes in America from '66 to about 94.
94.
Wow.
That's incredible.
That's when it changed in '94.
So,
that's when it stopped.
That's when you moved the operation to
Overseas.
China, right?
Yep.
Overseas.
Yep.
Now, when you guys were, I don't want to show your age or anything, but how old were you when the Vans started?
1966.
Yes.
Okay, and I don't know why they don't give me that 1 year, but they got me started in '67 because I was 10 years old.
And you started working there at 10?
I wasn't in the factory till I was like 12 or 13 in the summertime, and my brother was really. He's 2 years older than me, and he was a mechanic and took things apart, and he was that kind of thing. And they wouldn't let me near no saws or anything, so I was more of the talker. But 12, 13, 14 years old, I would be at the end line when they make the shoe. There's about 14 people on that line, and I was the last person, and all I had was a roller. So I was supposed to roll the bumper to the first foxing, the foxing to the friction to the canvas, the rubber to the outsole. So I would roll the shoe, inspect it, put the heel label on, roll it, and then put it on the rack, which then goes into a vulcanizer at 275 degrees, 20 pounds of air pressure per square inch for about an hour and 5 minutes.
This was all in this early 60s?
66. So this was probably 69, 70 is when I was in the factory. Because when I was 10 and we got the building in 1965, my job with my brother and my two sisters, Janie and Taffy, Cheryl was maybe a little bit, she was 4 years old, so she wasn't painting. But we painted, the four of us painted the whole inside of that 15,000 square foot building before the machinery came.
Wow.
Took us about a week. My grandfather from Boston came out and built scaffolding so me and Paul could get up higher because the ceilings were maybe 30, 40 feet high. So scaffolding. So we're painting and painting and painting. So when we finished the inside, my dad all of a sudden found out about a spray gun. And so in one day, after that, so now the outside's going to be painted, right? So my dad and me, from 7 in the morning to 7 at night, painted the whole outside in one day. My job was to take the 1 gallon thing and pour them into the 5 gallon thing and then hold the ladder. And then if I got in the way or, so we painted the whole thing on the outside. So at that point, when the factory was being built, we were just handy. You did real good. You got to go down the street and pick out the bologna, the bread, the chips to bring back. So I worked that whole first summer. And I remember we were from Boston, so I was born in Boston, grew up there, and came out in '64 to California, to Costa Mesa. And that first summer when we were finished, my mother was going to drive us back to Boston to see my grandparents and all of our relatives. My dad gave me $51 bills.
Oh, back then. Come on, man.
You know, I didn't want two 20s and a 10. I wanted ones. Because I could go to Stuckey's, and buy 6 things and have 20 cents left over, and I got 49 more stops. So having a big old wad of money, like, oh my. So we always knew you worked and you got some money.
Okay.
Didn't matter how much, you got some money, some green. And so then from there, my dad put in the first store, which was in Costa Mesa.
Can we rewind a little bit?
Yep.
I want to Costa Mesa store. I want to put that in the banks right now. But your dad previously, before starting Vans, worked for another shoe brand, right?
20 years.
20 years. And why did he just thought, I can do this myself?
Yeah. So what happened was my grandmother, my Italian grandmother, wanted my dad at 16. At 9th grade, he left school. He didn't think he was learning anymore, and he left school. So
Okay.
my grandmother's all upset, and she wanted him to get a job. And so she got a job for him at the shoe factory. And he was supposed to show up there, but he thought his friend needed the job more, so he gave him the job. So when my dad got home that night and didn't go to work, my grandmother's, he would say, took the broom across his head.
Okay.
So the next job...
The broom, wow.
Yeah, right.
Maybe a belt
Yeah,
or something, but a broom.
A broom.
Okay.
She was a big lady, so she had to have a lot of reach to catch him. So the next job came up. He got a job, and he came to the shoe factory.
Okay.
And he was supposed to be, just in there sweeping floors or whatever. And somebody didn't show up where he was you kind of call him like an assistant to bring parts of the tops of the shoes to the different stitchers. And so he was in there on the very first day at work. He's in there, and the lady says, Paul, bring these over to the lady in the pink over there. And then lady over in the pink says, bring these to the one over in the yellow. So he's moving all these things around. At the end of the day, everybody went home at 4 o'clock. My dad stayed around till 11 that night by himself. The owner's son, who was like 10 years older than my dad, so he's like in his mid-20s, comes up at 11 o'clock at night. What are you doing? He says, well, it's my first day. They gave me this job, and it's all messed up. So I'm having people push, so I'm organizing, so tomorrow it's going to go much smoother.
Oh, wow.
So the guy kind of looked at my dad and helped him finish there. They left at like 11:30, and the next day everything ran smoother.
Your dad was how old?
He was 16 years old.
Wow.
What shoe brand was it?
It was called Randy's.
Randy's. Okay.
Yes. So again, they made shoes back in the day for like Bob Cousy. Again,
Okay.
It was a company. It was the 3rd largest shoe company in the United States.
Wow.
At that time, so you might have had Keds, PF Flyers, Converse.
So he was on the assembly line. He saw how all this was being manufactured.
Yeah. So for 20 years, he always solved problems and worked his way up to be like an executive vice president. So in 1963, they bought a plant in Garden Grove, losing $6 million a year. Every other month, they were losing $1 million. So my dad, my Uncle Jim, Gordon Lee, and 2 other gentlemen, they took 5 people from the East Coast and sent them to the West Coast. So my dad came out, and within a year, he had the West Coast plant, which was just new for them, doing better than the East Coast plant.
Interesting.
And then one day, my dad had a disagreement with that same person he met when he was 16, and he quit. So after a year, come to California, 5 kids, a new house, a new job. He has nothing. And so a friend of my dad that he worked with from Japan that made the tops of the shoes for that company sometimes, they're called uppers.
Okay.
He called the factory and says, can I talk to Paul Van Doren? I'm sorry, he doesn't work here no more. So Serge calls my dad at home. He says, Paul, what's up? He says, he told him the story and stuff. He says, you have any ideas? My dad says, yeah, I have an idea. So Serge sends my dad a ticket to Kobe, Japan. So my dad flies to Kobe, Japan, tells Serge about the idea. I want to build my own factory and sell them in my own stores. And Serge says, okay. So Serge flung the money into the company.
Who was this guy, by the way?
He's a friend that my dad had met.
Okay.
His father was an entrepreneur in Japan. They were actually Belgium, but he lived in Japan, and he died. So Serge had to go from Belgium out there and take over his dad's trading company.
Okay, so Serge is trying to figure this all out, and he calls your. Okay,
So
okay.
Serge calls, and so all of a sudden Serge says, okay, I'm going to put so much money in. And so my dad, for the next year, found a building, bought machinery, put it all together. My Uncle Jim was a real great machinist. mechanic, knew everything about building, that kind of thing. So he was kind of taking over the building, the factory things. Gordy was a manufacturer, knew all the different positions and stuff to build shoes. My dad knew how to build shoes and stuff, but his job was going to be more of get a store, open it up.
Right.
So that's where the first store comes in.
And
that's where my job comes in, because me and my brother would go and paint every store, put in the racks, put the shoes in, and then open up. And then open up. I never was shy of talking, so I was a salesperson.
This was after you guys got the factory going.
Yes.
Okay. So now we're catching up to where we were talking about opening the first store.
Yep.
Where did the
And
name
you said
Vans?
Costa
I'm
Mesa?
sorry.
Costa Mesa.
Yeah,
On
go
Newport Boulevard. It's not the same location, but we've always been on Newport Boulevard for 68 years.
Where did it?
Is this it right here?
No, that's the LA County Fair.
What is that? What about this?
That's Waltz. Remember the
yeah,
that's a store in Eagle Rock.
Oh, that's in
so
Eagle Rock.
That's in Eagle Rock again, home of the flying V. Okay, so you see that how that V is there.
Yeah.
My dad always doodled, so everybody always asked me where the side stripe came from.
Yeah.
And my dad called that the jazz stripe, but you can kind of see a little
jazz
bit
stripe.
Jazz stripe. That's what he called it in the day,
Amazing.
and that's where that shoe in 1977 went on the first old school style 36. But that was probably store number 11.
Okay.
So buy, direct, and save. So my dad's...
Wait a minute. What year is this?
That there's like 68, 69.
So within 2 or 3 years, you were already at 11 stores.
Oh, probably in the first year.
Wow.
So probably 10 stores in 66, and then 67,
Why were you
68.
guys going at
Rapid
hyper speed?
growth.
Yeah.
Well, when you have a factory and you're making shoes, okay,
you gotta sell 'em.
We got to sell them. So what happens is that my dad, Gordy, and Jim would go to 3 different swap meets every weekend.
Your dad, Gordy, and Jim, those are the 3 owned partners,
Yep.
right?
And Serge was the 4th one, but he was a silent partner.
Okay,
He put the money
okay.
in
Old Serge.
and was there for advice and stuff like that. But the 3 of them did all the work of building the factory,
The heavy lifting.
building the
Yeah.
stores, everything else. So the very first years, there was little sales. My dad thought he'd only need 1 store because the shoes were going to be so great.
Right.
But nobody knew of them. So the factory actually had a store. So that was, the factory store was when he opened up. The first store was Costa Mesa.
Okay.
So they put in the store, okay, we still need to get product going, sales, so we can manufacture more.
How are you going to get people to buy them?
Right. So my dad quickly put 10 stores in.
Okay.
On the weekends, go to the swap meet. My job was to take flyers and go pass them around the neighborhood. La Mirada swap meet, Santa Fe Springs swap meet, Orange swap meet. Wherever there were swap meets, that's where we went. So my dad would have a truck, open it up, and have the shoes inside, and then I'd pass flyers up, stop by booth 22, whatever it was, and stuff. And that's how we got going at the very beginning. So
How many
after-
styles did you have at this point? Sorry to interrupt.
No, it's okay. So in the authentic style 44, there was red, there was green, navy blue, and light blue.
You had one style.
One style.
Okay.
That was that.
You
style
built this
there.
whole factory, and you got
Right.
one style of
But
shoe
that was
coming
that
out.
was style 44. But
That was the original one.
But that was so going back to the numbers. So like,
Why not one?
I know,
Why
it was
44?
but the first-
What happened to the 1 through 43?
There was style 15 was a blucher for child's. Style 16 was a 2-eyelet women's. Style 17 was a pointed women's. Style 18 was a espadrille. Style 19 was a regular
Oh,
women's.
you got these ingrained in your
Style
brain.
20 is a slip-on. Then he moved from style 20
Yeah.
over to 44.
Oh, okay. So there were some
44,
okay.
45, 46, 47 was a buckle. 48 was a slip-on. 49 was a chukka. They're in my brain.
I love the
Sick.
chukka, by the way.
Yeah,
The
style
chukka was so
49.
good. Yeah.
And if I yell over there to Bob and I tell him any color, he'd come up with it too, because Bob's been around for 45 years. But then all of a sudden in 1976, our first skateboard shoe got a 95 number.
Oh,
Okay.
Okay.
It's like a authentic, but it's 2 colors. So it's navy blue, red, navy blue, and it had a padded collar.
yeah.
And it had off the wall heel label. So
And
that,
this came from Tony Alva.
Yes.
And the Dogtown guys.
That's right.
They loved the shoes.
Yep.
And they wanted a skate shoe, which I thought it's an incredible story. And I don't know too much about it, but they worked with you guys to build this skate shoe, which I think is pretty rad for you guys as a big company to be like, oh, wait, you want a skate shoe? Like, let's work on this together.
So we weren't that big of a company in those days.
Okay, well, you know what I mean. I
But
mean,
yes,
just
but
to
no, yes, of
take
course.
inspiration and
Well,
here's
the
this, like,
reason we came
skateboarder.
up with navy blue and red, which didn't go too good along with the Crips and Bloods, because you had
Oh,
both
back in the
colors on
day.
there.
Yeah, yeah.
But
Oh,
anyway,
interesting.
so what happened is
Never thought
that
of that.
Tony was going to the Santa Monica store and got a shoe. So we got the word got the word that, hey, some skaters are coming in. Okay, so I asked Dad, hey, can we give some shoes away? And so let's say the shoes at this time in the 70s was, let's say, $8. Okay, because the first shoe, the 44, the authentic, in 1966, $4.49.
Wow.
The women's style, 19, was $2.29.
Yeah, but if you got to think about the price to buy a $4 shoe in the 60s was pretty, it's a decent price.
Yep.
Yeah.
So in the 70s, when Tony's 74, 75 is coming in, he found out that he could just buy one shoe. So if he was using his left foot, and that's what was wearing out, and he had a pair of blue authentic style 44s, he could come in and get the left foot for $4, half price.
But who came up with this? Who came up with you could buy one shoe?
My dad, because you could buy a size 9 and a size 8, and he'd sell you the 8, 9 because you had split feet. We'd send the shoes back to the factory, make the other one, and make 2 pair back.
It's accessible for you guys.
We're a company that the very first day, some ladies came in on the first day and said, well, I like this pink, but I like a lighter color. And the lady says, well, I like that yellow, but I want, a deeper. But my dad says, ladies, I can't carry all these fabrics. Go down to the local fabric store, buy a third of a yard, anything you want, bring it back, and I'll make a pair of shoes. They go, how much will that be? He says, 50 cents. So if instead of $2.29,
they went and bought their own materials.
They go bought their own material, bring it back, and 50 cents more, we make a pair of custom shoes.
I love the fact that from day one that your dad, he's listening to the customers.
Yeah, you had to.
That's incredible.
Open-minded from the jump.
I love that.
Yeah.
So when Tony went into the store, Lois, that was the manager at the time, said that, he could get one shoe, and we finally said, you can give him a pair of shoes.
Okay.
So then I get stories from Stacy Peralta. When Tony said, hey, you can go over to that shoe store, they're giving shoes away to skaters. This is rad, So he goes over, hey, how you doing? So those guys in those days, that's what we would have the store manager, okay, you can give those shoes away. And we guaranteed all of our shoes, so if something came apart on the shoe, because I remember a story about, because again, if something's wrong with the left foot and this came apart, the right foot's fine, it's only a week old, the store manager might just sit there and say, okay, I'll just give you this shoe here. So I got a call up. I was in charge of half of the stores, and so the guy's telling me the story about how his daughter left there, and she had a brand new shoe on the right foot and a shoe that's a week old on the left foot. Okay. And everything seemed fine at the time and stuff, but he didn't like that, so he called up. He says, and he understood after I talked to him and says, we would have replaced it, both of them, if she wanted to, but it seemed like that was all that was wrong with it because we could take the other foot back and make another one.
Right.
So it was only like half the loss. He says, I'm glad you're not in the pant business, So he made his point to me and stuff like that.
Sure.
But that's how it started off, and then. 1977, I hired our first team manager because I was working in the stores. I had just gotten married.
Okay.
And I was in charge of half the stores, and I couldn't spend all the time going out looking for talent for skaters and stuff. So Everett Rosecrans was hired, and we got him a van and painted up. It was the van's skate team van, and he had 2 boys, Beetle and Kelly, that were probably 11 and 13. And so. In those days, you'd have a lot of demos. We had plexiglass ramps.
Oh, yeah.
And, Everett was out there picking his team, who's going to be on the team, and it just evolved from there.
This was after you guys had made the first skate shoe.
Yes.
Right.
In 1976 was the first skate shoe.
Right.
March 18th. I know that because I got married on March 6th. I went to Hawaii on my honeymoon, had to be back to launch the first skate shoe, Off the Wall heel label, which the story behind that, where did that kind of we call.
We're talking about the red label
turtle,
on the
right.
back.
The wall,
Yep.
yeah.
Right.
Yep. So, and I learned things later on. I had a cousin, Mark Van Doren, who was a artist at the time. He was probably 13 years old, and he had drawn the turtle, that design, and spray paint on the bottom of his skateboard. He stencil cut. And so my Uncle Jim says, "What's that?" And he says, "Well, it's a skate thing." So we had just found out the word off the wall for Tony coming off the wall on the pool. So we put off the wall in there, and that's how the off the wall came. Because back in the 80s, sorry about that, back in the 70s, late 70s, a lot of punk rock were doing all kinds of stenciling and stuff. So Mark was into that. He stenciled that, off the wall went inside of it, and that's where the first off the wall came from.
That's incredible.
77, Old School came out because, again, listening, they were saying, hey, you're wearing the shoes out because of grip tape and it's ripping the canvas. So the old school style 36 came out, and that's where the jazz stripe came.
Wow.
Later, 77, a mid-top came out, style 37. Again, 36 was the old school, 37 was a mid, and 38 in 1978, the skate high came because they wanted it higher and more padding.
Were you guys putting the red? Did you guys want to differentiate the two types of shoes, like the skate shoes? Okay, we're going to put a red label on this one, and this is going to be our skate division. And
so what it was is that skate shoe got that, and then from there morphed custom made, because a lot of people wanted to go make custom made shoes where instead of a blue, navy blue, red, navy blue, they could have black, silver, black, anything they wanted. When they did a custom made on that, red label went on it.
Okay.
When the 36 old school came out, red label. 37, red label. 38, red label. And I don't know where the color first came out of. All I know is that Keds was blue. And first Vans shoes in 66 was white, and it said House of Vans.
okay,
Then about a year later, it changed it just for a little while, went Van.
just Van.
Van.
Okay.
And even a little bit later went Vans. And then it went to Van Doren. So Van Doren were on all kind of the basic shoes. Off the wall were skate shoes, custom.
When did you change? When did it just change the Vans?
You mean like back then?
Like the low? Yeah. Like, did you guys like?
There was always the square root of ANS, so to speak. That was
the little
my,
thing.
My last
right?
name's Van Doren, and
Yeah,
it was the V went across. My dad's signature always had some wild, crazy thing, so the V always came out that way.
Okay.
So that's kind of some early day history and stuff there.
It's incredible.
Definitely.
Did you guys only have your own retail? Like, you didn't sell to any other stores?
No, exactly. A lot of stories behind that was where my dad worked for 20 years. I don't know if you want to hear the pigeon story or not, but my dad, remember I told the story about him starting at 16 years old. When he was 18, the big boss, Bob, at the time, asked my dad to go to Boston and help him with a shoe show. So my dad's in a factory going, oh man, I get to go here. So he goes in, he found out the reason why is because they wanted him to set up like, a trade show.
Okay.
But in those days, it's in hotel rooms. So my dad did all the work and set all the displays up, and then all the customers would come to the hotel, go up to the rooms, and they would show them what they had to sell.
Sure.
Take the orders from there. So my dad was glad to be part of that. He went down later on, and he sees his hero, the boss, going out to dinner with a bunch of people, and this one person named Harry. Harry goes to Bob, hey, Bob, go out and catch me a pigeon out. This is in the Boston Commons. Oh, no, Harry, we're going to go, get some drinks. We're going to get some steaks. We're going to have a great time. No, catch me a pigeon. And my dad's looking over like, what the heck's the guy talking about? Catch me a pigeon. And so he says, no. And so the guy insisted, Bob, catch me a pigeon. So my dad, in the early days at 18 years old, sees his hero running around trying to catch a pigeon in Boston Commons. My dad found out later that gentleman was the biggest buyer for a company, that they needed those orders, so he would have done anything. So
Was this guy just like almost mocking him? Like, go catch me a pigeon.
right, and he was straight chasing it down in his suit and stuff because he really wanted him to catch it. And so you needed the orders so bad he had to go do that.
Oh my God.
So my dad, at his life at Randy's for 20 years, always said, I'll never catch pigeons. So when he started Vans, he says, and my dad always tried to talk Bob into putting some stores in, but they just made shoes and sold them to other people. So my dad said, when I start Vans, I'm going to make my own shoes. I'm going to have my own stores, so I never have to catch pigeons. And so it's a whole story. When they had the first cake opened up the first day, they had a pigeon on there.
The pigeon.
Yeah. And so, again, when the bank, do you want something on your checks, and stuff like this here? Yeah, put never catch pigeons. So their motto at the very beginning, and today, coming up on 58 years, we have more than half of our business around the world is still sold through a Van store.
Yeah.
We like wholesale. Okay, we appreciate everything that they do to try to get the brands where we don't have our own stores, but it's still 58 years later. Still, my dad's dream is still there, at least 50%.
Nice.
so that nobody kind of dictates what you have to do.
Yeah.
Well, there are so many van stores around. I mean, I remember when I was a kid going to the van store.
What's
you
the
know?
name?
Santa Monica.
Oh, great.
Yeah,
Mine
100%.
mine was in, I like to say Canoga Park,
Yeah,
Chatsworth
sure.
area.
Yeah, no, Topanga Canyon Boulevard and
yes.
Oh, just,
and Nordhoff.
Yes,
and Nordhoff.
that's it. That's it.
So that was a store. We had 5 of them.
Okay.
Where eventually, you hear the stories of McDonald's. They always had their own real estate. Well,
Sure.
we put in 5 stores that we owned, and that was one of them.
Wow.
And so it was original days that went in probably 1969, 70,
Okay.
Yeah.
where it was actually striped. My dad striped it like the out in Vegas of the Circus.
It really stood out.
It stood out. Yeah, that was the whole idea of it. Is that trying to get attention
Yeah.
as Mom drove by. What's that?
Yeah.
Because my dad thought, hey, circuses are kind of fun things. Maybe she'll come in here and
Yeah.
stuff. And it said House of Vans.
Yep.
And so that store there was different. And that's how we had one in Corona. We had one in Woodland Hills.
how are you guys managing all these stores? Like you said, within a year, you had over 11 stores. You had so many. How are you managing all this stuff?
We had, they had district managers.
Yeah.
That was, and eventually, because pretty quick, by the time the end of the 60s, getting into the 70s,
Sure.
we had 50 stores. And then
all
eventually,
around Southern California.
all in Southern California. And then in the early 70s, because I remember I was
like
graduate-
Starbucks back.
we opened
Growing
up.
fast.
We opened up like 12 stores in the Bay Area in like 71, 2, 3.
Okay.
And it was a grind because nobody knew who Vans was up there, and it was actually draining the business so much that they recalled them.
Oh wow.
My uncle, my uncle on my mother's side, Dan, went up there and opened all those stores up, and so we brought him back down. He stayed up there, and that's how wholesale started. He became a rep for wholesale, and then we opened up stores wholesale-wise in the Bay Area.
That's how the wholesale business of vans got started.
Up in that area.
Wow, okay.
So if you kind of think of 70s, we still haven't got to Fast Times at Ridgemont High and
Oh,
Checkerboard
trust me,
80s
I'm
and stuff.
Spicoli.
Yeah. No, we haven't. We just coming out in 76 with skate shoes. So we're still infant. We're still under 10 years, and nobody really
right.
knows what the brand is.
But here you have this underground culture that
Yeah.
is embracing it.
Yeah.
and
This doesn't happen to many
Yes.
companies.
Yep. No. And still be around 58
Sure.
years
Oh, my
later.
God.
So what happens is that the brand itself in Southern California, no wholesale. So my dad agreed to open up wholesale in San Diego and San Francisco. And that's where it was first starting. Then when 76, 77, 78, the skate shoe came out, skate magazines, you advertise, and you hear people, in the Midwest go into their skate magazines and then they'd read about all of the things that they love some, and then they saw the shoes. Ooh, I got to have a pair of those.
Oh, yeah.
And then they would mail order.
They would be okay.
Mail order.
Yeah.
It was mail order, the shoes and stuff.
Was your dad itching to get more stores across the United States by this time, or was
No,
it?
He was satisfied. He had his 50 or 60 stores here.
Okay.
Wholesale after the 82 area.
Sure.
When Fast Times came out, that's where it started morphing around there, and that was wholesale, not retail.
Not only did you have the underground skateboarding culture, like embracing the vans, and Southern California for that matter, but I mean, when Fast Times at Ridgemont High came out, Spicoli,
Yeah.
like that threw vans into a whole new category and a whole new. I mean, you guys must have been selling shoes. You couldn't make them fast enough.
Yeah. So there's another funny story to go along with the pigeons a little bit, because one of the big retailers at that time wanted to buy the shoes across the country. And my dad said, okay. He says, you can have 49 and a half states, but you can't have Southern California.
Who is this, like Woolworth or something?
Yeah, I won't put him on.
Okay.
there.
Go ahead.
But, and my dad says, no, you can't have them in Southern California. And they said, well, we won't buy them. My dad says,
Wow.
fine. He didn't sell them.
Amazing.
Because he wanted to protect his own stores that he had built at that time from 66 to 82.
That was probably a
Smart.
huge deal to turn down
and
too.
there was, again, when you have a spike
Yeah.
and you got to live, so what happens though is the Fast Times era was awesome. I remember, and I found out, the true story that Sean Penn went into the Santa Monica store, bought a pair of checkerboard. Now, where did checkerboard come from? It was kids drawing on the rubber, making checks.
Okay.
6 months earlier. And so I says, okay, make rubber. So we made checkerboard rubber, black and white first, then red and white, then blue and white, then black and red, and all these different colors on the shoes. And then we had strips of rubber in each store, and you might have had like 15 different choices, and you could make your custom-made shoe, and you say, okay, I want this, and so you'd have let's say a style 44 authentic. 19 was navy blue, and then the rubber would be 6006 for a men's medium. In between that was 00, and the rubber might have said AB. And if it was black and white check, AC if it was red and white check, you'd put that in there, and that's how the shoe got made.
But let me ask you a question though. Back then, if I could go in and get my own custom made checkerboard stuff, would I have to wait for them to come in, or would you have all these?
No.
Oh, yeah, okay.
Yep.
You'd order them to be made.
Right. You order them to be made.
Okay.
And so you walk out in the factory and you see, hey, there's a whole bunch of shoes with black and white checks on black shoes. Okay, let's just make some of those and put them in stock.
Now, was that your idea to do the checkerboards, or whose idea?
No, it was definitely. I was in charge of half the stores and hearing the customers coming in and wanting to see that and stuff. So we did that first. Then from there, I gave pieces of canvas
Okay.
to the stores. It was actually paper. So there was the friction that goes around the shoe.
Sure.
So we made it 1 inch by 14 inches.
So you weren't even making the whole shoe checkerboard. You were just making the
Just
last
rubber first.
The rubber.
Just rubber. Okay. So we would put papers in the stores and let kids tell us what they want. And all of a sudden, every month they bring them to my desk and I have a pile.
How is this even? I'm just wondering, like, how is this even?
Unicorns. I love boys. I love girls. The zebra, whatever it was. And all of a sudden, this pile is this big. So we had a contest. If we picked your design, we would then invite them to the factory.
Okay.
We would invite them to the factory. They went for a tour of the factory, the family, took them to Disneyland, and then we made that next thing.
So you weren't making all of these. This was like a contest type thing.
Exactly.
Okay, gotcha.
But we did make checkerboard.
Okay.
Then we see the kids drawing on the fabric. So we made our own. We took white fabric and printed checks and then put it into the stores. The first one was black and white check. Then Sean Penn goes in, Santa Monica store. We didn't, I just thought Betty Mitchell, who was our PR person, brought shoes to the studios, Universal, Sony Pictures. No. She told me, she was like 93 years old, this is like 10 years ago, and told me exactly what happened. So Sean went in, bought it, went out, we was at the scene, he had the shoes on, so Sony Pictures, Universal, calls up Vans and says, hey, our, star here has a pair of these check shoes, can we get some more? So Betty drove up with 24 shoes and gave it to him, and the rest is history.
But they're not even, wait a minute, but they don't even ask if they could use it in the movie?
No.
Before that, it's like,
Yeah.
you can do whatever.
Yeah. No.
Wow.
Yeah. So I met Sean Penn maybe a year ago over in Hawaii. It's actually a year and a half ago. And it was just at the time where you had to eat outside. You couldn't go inside restaurants for COVID.
Uh-huh.
And so the owner of the restaurant at Turtle Bay, there's a golf course. And it's called Lele's. And so we're eating outside. And all of a sudden, Pete goes into the restroom and comes out and he says, Steve, Sean Penn's inside the restaurant.
You had never met him up to this point.
I met him when he did Dogtown and the Z-Boys.
Okay.
He narrated that.
Sure.
So I got to meet him quick there. But this is the first time. So I said, I got to go say hi. So I go inside and I said, hey, Mr. Penn, I'm Steve Van Dorn from France. Hey, how you doing? This is my daughter. His daughter looked like she was in her early 20s and stuff. I says to the daughter, now, your father's my hero because he narrated Dogtown and the Z-Boys, but really because he was Spicoli. He probably doesn't want to admit that, but you made my life so much better for worldwide just with our brand. So I thanked him and stuff and left him alone.
Cool. Wow.
Go outside. Maybe an hour later, we were leaving. I didn't want to go back inside. So Ian is the owner of Lele, so I gave my credit card. I want to pay for their dinner. So I'm way over here. And he comes across the restaurant, comes out, Steve, you didn't have to. I said, I wanted to. Thank you so much. I would let you just want to buy your dinner, stuff like that. So it was pretty cool.
It's so funny because, like, in his mind, you playing Spicoli, he just wants he wants a character to come together, and that those pairs of shoes came together.
Yep.
He's probably not even thinking about helping the brand, and
right.
You know what I mean? Like
Right.
for him, it's just a character-based thing, and unknowingly changed Van's trajectory, probably.
time.
And so that's when, basically international wholesale was picking up more and more of it. Our Southern California stores were still, and we were pumping at 82, okay? Unfortunately, we had my dad, like in 1980, 81, probably 1980, my Uncle Jim, who was 10 years younger, was very ambitious and, like I say, a really great person. He wanted to make athletic shoes.
Okay.
Now you've seen like 7 years of Nike and Adidas and different people and stuff. And we were, getting a little bit more popular in Southern California.
Uh-huh.
So he wanted to make all kinds of athletic shoes. So as the money was coming in for checkerboard, it was going out making American-made athletic shoes. Wasn't that we had running shoes, got 5 stars in Runner's World, but we made basketball shoes and all kinds of different other shoes. And so it wasn't our MO.
Right.
And it caused us to have troubles.
It was off-brand.
Right.
And so we had 1984, we went in Chapter 11.
Wow.
And so it was a tough time. And so those next 3 years, I learned a lot about integrity because as the courts protect you while you get yourself straightened back out again. And what happened was the bank wanted to liquidate. Okay, they want. I still have my desk today. It's my dad's desk and a cadenza, and it has a little number on it because the bank marks everything in your company that they can sell off. And so I still today in 2024
have that number.
desk.
What's the number on there? 44?
Yeah. Exactly, good one. But they
What are the odds?
all the creditors and stuff came back to them in
Is that
court.
the desk?
That's the desk.
Wow.
Yes.
Look at that.
Yeah.
Who are you
So
talking
cool.
to right there?
Yeah, I was faking it on the phone. Exactly.
But wait a minute.
Hey, look at the hair, man.
Yeah,
I still
I
got
know.
your hair,
Look
man.
at that hair, bro.
Hey, you look great right now.
I always had a briefcase.
Okay.
Yep.
What did you keep in there? Like snacks and.
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
I would have kept that.
Yeah, it's funny because I'll do a picture today, something on my desk, and there's a Rolodex there. And everybody teases me online and stuff. Hey, man, I haven't gone in there for a while, but every number I ever had was in there.
Yeah, this is a Rolodex.
They go to Rolodex. Okay, I want Weird Al Yankovic. Okay, and Weird Al's right here. You know what I mean?
Let's call up Weird Al.
So good.
Carrot Top. Okay, he's in there. I got all these people that I've known over the
I
years. and stuff.
love that, dude.
In the Rolodex.
So let's get this straight. So here we are. You're killing it with
Yeah.
in Vans. I mean, what are you, $60 million company at this point in time? I mean, like
Yes.
you were big,
Yes,
right?
yes,
That's
yes.
huge.
Again, the shoes are $12 or $14 a pair.
Sure, but you
So,
guys, I mean,
know.
you took over Southern California, Spicoli wearing them, like everything, and then you guys went into this other realm of just trying to corner every
try
division,
to grow bigger than
right?
we are. Yep.
And then so Chapter 11 comes, and that's when the banks wanted you to liquidate, which means you have to sell everything to get back.
They want
like,
to, but the courts protect you.
Oh.
And then all the creditors in the bank comes in and said, we'll accept 25 cents on the dollar. So if we owed $12 million, they're saying, give me $4 million, you're out. My dad says, no. He says, I owe the fabric people, I owe you, I owe the rubber people, the oil, all these things here. I'll pay 100 cents on the dollar, but I want 3 years to do it.
Oh, he
says.
he's protecting
Yes.
the people who have been in business with
Yes.
for all this time. That's
Yes.
incredible.
And so I tell
Admirable.
the story to people that work with us today. If my dad did not do that back in those days, none of us would have jobs.
Yeah,
But-
but not only that, it's the integrity.
That's exactly right.
Big
So,
time.
you learn about this, again, at that time, I'm in my mid-20s and stuff. I'm just working and stuff. But you learn a lot about people. You learn a lot about what it means. And so in 1987, he comes out of the end of 87. He comes out of Chapter 11 not owing a penny. And every bill that he
paid everybody back.
Paid back 100 cents on the dollar.
Love that.
When you
amazing.
Love
made the
that.
money back, was it just let's go back to our original shoes? Let's forget all the basketball stuff and everything.
That happened in 1984.
Yeah.
So all the athletic shoes, everything that we did at the time stopped right then.
Yeah.
And then my job was to go and sell that stuff off.
Yeah.
To get rid of it.
You almost
Get-
had to stop because that was the thing that was bleeding you guys.
Yep.
Yeah.
And so go back to the vulcanized factory, and we were doing those at the time, but the other ones were just costing us way too much money.
Let's go back to the
My
roots.
dad says you can't have a lemonade stand that costs you 6 cents and you're selling it for 5.
Yeah.
And so, in his explanation in business, it makes sense. And so at that time, we went through a sad time because 84 in skateboarding, I had to let Everett Rosecrans go. I had to let all of our team guys, my dad, we can't give away anything. We can't have extra costs. We need to get through what we're going through. So 84, 5, 6, 7, the team members that we were giving shoes to had to stop doing that. Everett went over to work with Brad at Vision, thanks. And that's when Vision kind of took off, and they got a lot of good riders from us. So we get out of Chapter 11 in 1987. First thing I did was hire Everett Rosecrans back, get our team guys back. and get back on track.
Well, just 1 year later, that's when the full cab came out, right? Or the cab.
89. Again,
89, so
what
2
happened
years
is,
later.
it
Okay.
was being designed in 88, but 89 it came out.
Okay,
in style 39.
That's 39.
It got a number.
Okay. Let me pick a number. 72. What is that?
No, that's a slip-on with two eyelets on front side and the rear.
Good. Okay.
But so again, my dad wouldn't have. My dad sold the company in 1988.
Right.
He worked for Randy's for 20 years. Does vans for another 23 or 24 years. Goes through Chapter 11. He's basically worn out.
Yeah.
Okay.
How old is he at this point when he
My
sells?
dad was 58, 59.
Okay, that's not
Okay?
that bad.
So
Yeah.
he had been through everything, and inside of our company, everything was solid. And some people from Wall Street came, and somebody asked, would you sell your company? And my dad said, well, what are you saying? And what would you say? He said $75 million. And so he's doing about $55 million or $60 million and stuff. And so they made a deal.
Should have said 80.
Yeah. No.
But this is a banking firm. Were you guys not worried about this other banking firm coming in and
He had been through all the hassle of that.
Okay.
And been through all the other things and wanted the company to go forward. My dad was not a marketer. It was word of mouth. He didn't believe in marketing. Marketing was me passing out flyers, doing grassroots events,
Yeah, that is.
hand-to-hand combat, tell a friend about vans.
Okay.
So, so Dad, in 1988, it finally happened. It went through some hiccups when they were supposed to go do the deal. If you remember Michael Milken, the junk bond days and stuff. So this is in 1987 in September. It was called Black Monday, and the stock markets all fell. So the deal was going to go through, and then it didn't go through.
Because of the stock market.
Yes. Then in December, it was supposed to go through, but the Berlin Wall fell, and the international markets were all upset. So finally, in February of 1988, the deal went through. And, so at that point, my dad was just going to be a consultant.
Okay.
And so this first time I'm going to work for somebody else besides my dad. And so away we go. And, things just happened to work out there for the next 12 or 13 years.
Right.
And then VF, our parent company today in 2004, coming up on 20 years, they bought us.
Yeah, but so usually, when another company buys a company, they usually keep the CEO, they keep the higher ups for a certain amount of time. Was that part of the deal, or because you've still been with them to this day?
Yeah. So what happens? My dad was just a consultant, the first president that came in after
He wanted
my dad.
to retire.
He
Let me
did.
get that.
He
Okay.
did. He did. And they said they would go public within 2 years. So he was on the board of directors. So funny story, just know my dad, when they're ready to go public 2 years later, he says, I'm going to go and I want a new pickup truck for his farm. I said, okay. He says, I'm going to buy, 20,000 shares. We're going to come out at $14. It goes up a couple dollars. I got a free pickup truck. I said, okay, Dad.
How many shares did he have?
Yeah. He bought 20,000 shares.
Oh, he bought.
At
Okay.
$14.
At $14.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
And so I come home that night, and I called my dad, and I said, Dad, you're on the board of directors. We just got told you can't sell anything for 6 months. What? He just got, tons of money, but he's worried about his $280,000 investment. So exactly 6 months later, before anybody could get to it, the stock was at its highest at $26. My dad sold his 20,000 shares, so he made a lot of money on
top of this.
Yeah.
Wait a minute.
That's
What's it?
pretty cool.
Why did he want to? He just wanted out completely. He just wanted to sell.
Yep. They wanted to do stock instead of the money. He says,
Sure.
He says, at that time, it was him and Gordy and Serge.
Oh yeah.
And so he just wanted to, and so it worked out really well for him, and it worked out fine for me. I've been able to have a job, but a lot of times when you come into a company, you find out who's full of it and who's not.
Sure.
And somehow I fooled them for the next 30-some years, And so I learned one thing after 4 years of the first president. And the company was, again, $60 million. In the next 12 years, it grew up to about $300 million, but it wasn't making any money.
How is that even possible? To a normal person, that's saying that
crazy.
When they went public 2 years
crazy.
later, it was always trying to cross the $100 million mark.
Okay.
And it was having a hard time. It's just, changing. So sales slowed down a little bit. They fired the president. So
Okay.
one thing you don't want to be is head.
Yeah,
Okay?
and it falls on
just,
you.
And so I never said, hey, I want to be the head person. I wanted to just be who I was and support what skateboarders did for us back in the 70s, is give us a purpose.
would you talk with the CEO or the
Oh,
head
yeah.
person? Would you? Were you?
I
you
always
were-
I always answered to the president.
Did they listen to you?
Sometimes.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay.
And I'd be
because I feel like
brutally
anybody
honest.
there at the company, you
Yeah.
were the guy that's
Yeah,
been there
no.
since day one that they should listen to.
The executives don't go out and work 24 years in the summer on the Warp Tour. They don't go out to skate events.
They don't barbecue.
Again, they don't barbecue. No.
No.
And the whole thing about that was just being with the people and listening to them. I mean, I learned that 29 years ago in snowboarding. First, again, being in Southern California, I've got thin blood. I'm in the mountains. It's freezing. I can have a grill, make some quesadillas. The reason is that I
Quesadillas?
can't see. Yeah.
Okay. On the grill?
Oh yeah, a flat grill.
Oh, okay.
Oh, yeah. It's like a Benihana grill.
Okay.
Always.
Oh.
I can do hot dogs,
Now
I
we're
can do
talking.
hamburgers.
Now we're talking.
I can do breakfast burritos. We can do quesadillas. So in the snow, we set up our things because we had boots that we were demoing out and stuff, and then started to keep warm and have a grill there. The reason is that this time we didn't have a snowboard manager. We had skateboard, and you can see who that is. Snowboarding, they got goggles, headgear, things from head to toe. Who is that?
Sure.
So if I'm cooking, hey, come over for some free food. Oh, you're Sean White. Or
Oh,
you're,
yeah.
you're Danny Castle.
You can meet people too.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And then it just morphed from there to every time my wife yelling at me about always coming home and being dirty and gross.
You smell like hamburgers.
Yeah. Is that you get to talk to everybody versus sitting in the stand. So it
No,
gives me
that's beautiful. Just you've always been kind of the face
Yep.
in the skateboard industry event, but just doing that made you
Right.
even more the face because here's Steve Andorni's out there barbecuing. He's with the it's amazing. You would always hear
I did-
he was out there barbecuing again.
quite a bit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't want to
love
be
it.
the normal executive. I don't think myself today of being the normal executive and stuff. I don't even like the word executive. We're not on a high perch and stuff, but we want to be down at the same level as, the great skaters or surfers or snowboarders, BMXers and stuff.
Well, it seems like
Respect
you
that,
had
for sure.
a great man as your dad to
Yep.
teach you all this stuff and just watch what he did and
hands-on. Jimmy, Gordy, Serge, my
Yeah.
dad, Jimmy, Gordy, Serge, myself, always were hands-on.
yeah.
They built that whole factory themselves. They made the shoes, okay? And, being able to go to something like this is over at the Vans US Open we did for about 9 years. And just, be able to barbecue and talk to people. And the city, when Christie was first getting the agreement with the city and they says, well, your father can't barbecue, then he's not going to sign up to sponsor the event. And they said, okay, we'll let him do it for 2 hours. So I borrowed, they had rules where you had to have cook and hand it through a window. So I went out to Wing from Wahoo's. He had a truck.
Yeah.
So we always pulled up the truck, had it there for 2 weeks. And so I'd cook the hot dogs, put them in a pan right inside, and then 4 people inside, put them in buns and then hand them through the window.
There was red tape you had to go around
Yes.
to try to get that. Okay.
Yeah. So what happens is that in 2 hours, I could cook 1,400 hot dogs and 600 sliders because there was a lot of people in line, and we got them through.
Steve.
Yeah.
That's a lot of
That's a
food.
lot
Yeah.
of.
The way I look at when you go to an event, let's say you go to the X Games or something, you see all the white tents and people in VIP areas. So we had that area, but we wanted everybody that came to our events, it was free, and you get stuff too.
Listen, you
We
could have charged
feed
like
you, too.
$2. We were
Yeah.
talking about some major cash there.
Hey, Smart and Final loved us. We had a $17,000 bill at Smart and Final between all of the chips and waters
Oh my
and
God.
dogs and, should have got a
But
sponsorship.
I could just tell that you love doing
Yeah.
that, though. I love that.
Seeing people's face, and then they tell you a little story about
Yeah.
Vans.
Yeah.
Hey, my son's skating. Or, we went down to the store there and just bought 3 shoes. And, you want to just hug them and say thank you and stuff.
When you guys got involved with like the Warped Tour and all that stuff, was that how did that even happen? Were you guys with them for a little bit? Did you do something?
Kevin Lyman came to our office. Walter Schoenfeld was our president at the time.
Okay.
And me and Walter and Kevin,
This is around 99,
yes, actually 96.
96.
Yeah.
Okay.
So Warped was just called Warped, started in 95. So the first year, No Doubt was on it, Sublime was on it. Kevin needed money to run his tour, and he came into us, and I wanted to find out how we can market our company other than Texas, Florida, Southern California. We're in the Sun Belt.
Oh.
I wanted to get all over the country. And I was going to use skateboarding. So I said, if I can get the money, Walter was going to go and say yes on the money to sponsor it. Can I have street skating and vert skating on the Warped Tour? So I wanted to be able to get to 40 or 50 locations in the U.S.
You're talking
every
to
year.
the Warped Tour people about this? Or
Kevin's the founder.
Kevin, okay.
Yep. And CAA with Daryl and a lawyer company with partners.
Okay.
And so in 96 we made a deal, became the Vans Warped Tour. And so-
I love that.
So
You
now
could put your name on it. You stamped
so
it.
Vans Warped Tour. Never been in music before. We knew of music and stuff, but we never been in it before. So we would then have contests, 40 vert contests, 40 street contests in the U.S. And the second and third year, we went over to Europe, which was like 12 stops. Australia was like 6 stops, New Zealand a stop, and a stop in Japan. So we did like 70 Vans Warped Tours. Kevin was able to sell bands on getting on the 40. I'll give you exposure in Europe, Australia, and Asia. So bands would sign up to get that many stops. It could be the Specials, it could be Pennywise, it could be all these different bands that wanted to go and go worldwide. So it worked good for them, worked good for us, and it worked good for me because we then had like 70 vert winners, 70 street winners, and that's where my daughter Christy comes in because we would then have a contest, fly them all in to Southern California. The first one was up in Ventura area where there used to be a skate place. It was called Skate Street. It wasn't far from Powell.
Wait a minute. By this time, didn't you?
Ventura,
By this time, didn't you already have your own Vans park?
Not yet.
Not yet.
Not
Okay.
yet. This is a little bit before that.
Okay.
Just the first year.
Gotcha. Okay.
Second year, yes, we did. So we fly in the 70 of them, and Christy's job to babysit all of them.
Oh, God. She
70
deserves an award.
No. She's like, guys, can you just smoke your stuff? Oh, the hotel's going to kick us out, so just do me a favor. So she would actually drive them, drop them off at the clubs.
Okay.
And I'm not talking about just regular clubs, and just you guys drop them off where they wanted to go, because a lot of the vert riders and stuff, they were older.
Okay. Right.
And so just trying to get them in a place where they didn't tear the hotel apart. The second year we had built the block in Orange. So that's where it was. The third year, we went to, let's say it was
Ontario.
Ontario.
Yeah,
Gotcha.
So
Yeah.
as years went on, we used our parks to run those contests and stuff. But it was a best thing we ever did, where we connected with the bands, because I didn't want to go in and say, hey, it's a Vans Warped Tour, you got to wear our shoes. No.
Yeah.
I'd lay out like 2,000 pair of shoes on rehearsal day.
Oh, shit.
And I'd have shirts, socks, towels, bags for the laundry, and give it to everybody.
Like,
come on over. You just want a shoe? Grab a shoe, 2 shoes, whatever.
Amazing.
Okay. So like Mike from NoFX, he had these, he always wore Airwalks and stuff. But every day, any band could come and get clean socks and shirts at our booth, anytime they wanted.
Okay.
Because you're on the road, you're on the bus,
yeah.
you're taking showers, and you get done with these socks and towels. So all of a sudden, later on, in that year and stuff, I'd see some Van socks with his Airwalk shoes on. And I met his wife. I gave her shoes. He says, "See, you're working in on there."
Hey.
I'm going to get you one of these days, Mike. But we did not put Vans on the stage. Again, we didn't want to interrupt or step over our thing. But by the end of the first year, just being out there, if you're not there, you don't get the cred. But they'd see we'd be up, Bob, me, Chris, we're out there, 6 in the morning, setting our booth up. Kids come in at 10, they leave at 9, and we're still there. And what happens is that catering, the first couple of years until Shelley came and took over, was tough.
Was it?
Oh man, this chipper chicken's bad. So I hear catering wasn't that good. I call up a place, get 50 pizzas in. We're in Boston, my hometown. I drove each year for 24 years into town and got 150 lobsters. Brought them back. The first year, we cooked them. The next year's catering took over and they cooked them. Kevin eventually would take 50 and barbecue them at lunchtime so that some of the bus drivers could have them, plus the bands, and we'd pass them out to them. So we always tried to get some things to help the bands out.
I love it.
And by the end of the tour, they'd put the backdrop of Vans up there.
Wow.
So they did that.
It just
They did
naturally
that.
happened.
Yeah,
Right.
exactly.
Yeah.
So, and it just happened to work out that way for the rest of the time, by always being there, hearing something might be wrong or whatever.
Yeah.
Kevin was a great person to start Warped and went to Vans Warped Tour. And about 5 or 6 years later, the .comers were in, and we were only a 10% ownership.
Of Warped?
Of Warped.
Wow.
The first year.
Oh, the first year.
First
Okay.
2 or 3 years.
Sure.
Then they wanted to sell to this one entity, .comers, and it fell through. And so they were hoping to get a bunch of money. So at that time, Vans stepped up, and we then bought 70%, so that the founders got money.
Wow.
And then for the next, 15 years or 17 years, we always had it very ambitious for them to want to keep doing it with us, even though they were a smaller ownership.
Well, now you're 80, they're 20.
It was 70.
70-30.
Oh, I'm sorry.
70.
Excuse me. 70.
And then
Oh, I
10.
thought you said you bought 70 plus a 10 you
No, it
already
was just
had.
total
Okay,
70.
okay.
Yep.
Gotcha.
So it worked out for them, worked
Yeah.
out for us. And, every year was profitable for the Vans Warped Tour except for 1 year. Other than that.
What happened
What
this
year
year?
was
I
that?
think it was
Yeah.
just probably the lineup and stuff. And just, it was like 2016 or something like that. Then we ended up dropping the mic in 2019. 2018, we said this is the last full tour.
Oh, wow.
We had, 650,000 people come out. Normally it's about 450, 500,000.
It was
And
the
then-
final hurrah.
Oh, yeah. And so year 25, we only did a show Atlantic City on the beach and up in San Jose, 2 shows.
Wow.
And both of them, the 30,000 Saturday, 30,000 Sunday, and over here was 22.5. So they were big shows. And then we did a private one because it was the Vans Warped Tour was inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. So we did a show for 3,000 there. So there were 3 shows the last year. So I'm hoping next year, me and Kevin have been talking that, maybe we'll have a 30th anniversary. Maybe we'll have an East Coast weekend and a West Coast weekend.
that would be awesome.
I'm hoping that
There you go.
happens because we get asked all the time. It's just after 25 years. you
Think
kinda-
about that, though. I mean, the Vans Warped Tour was like the tour.
Yeah, no doubt.
It was like the thing.
11 million followers went to it over those 25 years.
Oh, that's something to be proud of, man.
Yeah, no, 1,100 bands, got there for because every stop you'd have a Kevin Says stage, and that was the local bands that would compete.
Oh, they would get their little start.
and they get their start.
pretty cool.
I mean,
Wait.
people.
Tell them about Blink.
Oh, yeah.
The baby band.
Yeah.
Blink 182.
Oh, yeah. So the first year that I was on it, they were on our bus because they were a band that Darryl from CAA was watching over, brand new, young, keep an eye on them and stuff. So they were on our bus and stuff.
Really?
Yeah. And so, they were just young and just go for it and stuff. But there was no favorites on the Warped Tour. It doesn't matter if it was after year 15 or year 20. You're on the tour, you're the same as everybody else. Nobody would know what time they played. You had to get your bus or your van and be there at 10 o'clock. So when it starts at 11 o'clock, you're on.
But was
they would not say that, hey, okay, Bad Religion, you're playing every day at 6. No.
Why?
Because you had to make sure they get there. Because if they got there around 7:30,
That's
they'd
actually
party
smart.
to 4 in the morning and then not get there in time.
Okay.
So they had to come again. You didn't know what stage. After a while, you knew the 2 main stages. There was main stage 1, main stage 2, and then there was 5 other stages. So they would have a barbecue band. So they would tow the barbecue behind their van, and they barbecued every night for the after party. And by doing that, Kevin would then get them a place on a stage to play. But the stories, again, Fletcher, he's over there, I'm barbecuing with him and stuff like that there. You'd have to get in a line, to come and get your hamburger, hot dog, chicken, whatever ribs they were doing every night. That's kind of the melting pot.
Just keeping everybody accountable.
Bringing it, yeah.
You better be here.
And, again, we had some great times, some wild food fights that we were up at Hell's Gate. It's a place up in Oregon. And there's a river that runs through there, and they have these hydrofoil boats that like 60 people sit on, and they spin them in the middle of the river. And then we pull up these 3 boats. It was like 180 people. It was a day off. And we go into this great outdoor barbecue, and we're all eating food, ribs and chicken and rolls and stuff. Pennywise and the freestyle motocross guys, Kerry Hart, and those guys start a gnarly food fight.
Ice-T was there.
Oh.
Yeah.
Iced tea.
Iced
And
tea.
so, oh yeah,
There
yeah.
you go.
So shit's flying.
Okay.
I know you and Becky jumped onto the table and just stuff's flying, mashed potatoes. 180 people. Then Kevin comes running up. Stop it! All right. And then he made everybody clean everything up.
Yeah, right.
And then the freestyle motocross guys, he was going to send off tour. Pennywise said, you have to do it to us too because we started it. And so, they had to
they
do some
fessed up.
amends.
They fessed up.
They fessed up. And so it all got cleaned up. There was another place up above where like 200 people eat every day, and they just watched that going on. It was the wildest 2 minutes you ever seen in your life.
Was Pennywise back then? Where
Yes.
they were the shit. They
Oh,
were
yeah.
Pennywise
Yeah.
already.
At
Okay,
that- at
okay.
that
Just making
point.
sure. Yeah,
Yep.
just making sure.
Yeah, like when Eminem was there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So he would have to like hide with bodyguards because Fletcher would take a BB gun and shoot at him
Why?
because he wasn't
punk.
cool then.
Oh my god.
Wow.
But I mean, people like Katy Perry.
Katy Perry,
Yeah.
she was on the baby stage. She wasn't cool. Like
She wasn't
all
on the
these
main
people came
stages.
up
You had
Well,
to
that's why I was
back up
asking
there.
where was Pennywise at this time.
Oh,
And they were
on the main
they were
stage.
big.
Yeah,
they were big.
Yep, they were
Okay.
big. You know,
Yeah, yeah,
early
yeah.
days, it's Bad Religion, Rancid, and a million different things.
Were you on? Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
The My Chemical Romances and stuff all came like 15
yeah.
years later and stuff like
Okay.
that. But it was all punk in the first
Yeah.
10 years. And
Did
stuff.
you go on the majority of them? Did you? Yeah.
Up to maybe the last 5 years, I might have went down to 50%,
Okay.
40%, 30%. Mm-hmm. I'd always fly out for the weekends and stuff. But my buddy Bob there, the last 10 years, he was on every stop.
Wow.
But you know,
What an adventure! You've been on a wild ride.
you know, it was at least, I was out every week, on the tour. It's just that, if they had 40 stops and stuff, so
That's a
maybe
lot,
it's
yeah.
13 stops and stuff. Let's say the last year I would get and stuff.
So would you say, like, just tying this back to the Vans block in Orange, the Vans skate park?
Yep.
That sounds to me was kind of built out of necessity.
It was
Because you had this idea of bringing everybody the winners to this one place. So why not let's build our own place that we could bring people to?
they started passing laws so skate parks could be built again.
Yeah.
And so the vice president of retail at that time said, okay. He got deals with the malls for like 3 years. And we put in 9. We had 9 Vans parks.
Wow.
And then all of a sudden...
Was the one in
after-
Orange or the original one?
First one.
That was the first one. Okay.
The last one was the one in, was it Orlando or Ontario? Orlando.
Okay.
But we had 9 that we went and built. And it was great until the lease came back up and they wanted to charge us triple the money. So, again, we were the babysitters. So, like in the block, the parents would come, drop off their kids. They'd go to the movies. They'd go to the theater. They'd go to the bar. They'd
That's
come
what
back and
happened to
pick the
me.
kids up.
I went to
Yeah.
the block because my parents worked across the street at the UCF Medical Center.
Yes.
They dropped me off. I'd skate there, and then they come pick me up.
I mean, there was no skate parks in a mall. Like
No.
that was you were the first
Yep.
of that,
So
of
we
that kind.
went with, I think the first one was there. I know it was the first one was there, but
Yeah,
then
yeah.
Bakersfield. And every one we put different bowls and pools in. And then up to San Jose, and they put the Winchester, whatever that was called, the wave type of thing like this here.
Yeah, but the Combi Pool, everybody
That's-
loved that.
that was the best.
Yeah.
They went to Phoenix. We went to Denver. We went out to Houston, Texas. And Clyde Drexler had his 2 boys there because I remember meeting him.
basketball player.
player.
Yeah,
His 2 boys were skaters and stuff. And he was
Nice.
over there every weekend and stuff.
Glide the glide.
And then we went to Cherry Hill, which is over by Philadelphia.
Okay.
So these, and then Orlando, and again Ontario and stuff. So every one was different. So Rick Carge was the builder in those days, and Rick was an old skater, but he did a lot of things with worked with Duncan for all of the wood parts. Again, this
Dave
is before.
Duncan.
Yep, this is all before all the cement things came in. Eventually,
Oh,
Joe
yeah.
Salignia from California Skate Parks.
Yes.
Joe redid the Combi because the original was plaster. So a fun story. I haven't seen the video, but I got to get it from 401 Videos. It was like the 6th one. Josh was telling me I got to find it because when you built the original Combi, it was plaster like a regular pool, and water had to sit in it for 30 days to cure it.
Oh.
So when your pool, it has to cure before, and then they empty the water out, and then you can skate it.
Ah, okay.
So almost 30 days, and we had a cherry picker. So Lance Mountain, and probably Omar and stuff, but Lance was there, and the cherry picker diving off into the pool and stuff, So
But they redid it concrete.
so then it chiseled out like 4 inches and redid it with the new smoother because the Combi always had everybody knew where the little bumps were and stuff,
ripples.
And we had the first contest. I have no idea why we never did a contest the first year. It was like 6 years before we came up with the first Combi Pool contest.
Really?
It was actually after got a call from MTV, and they said, "Hey, we'd like to do an event with the Red Hot Chili Peppers at your park. We want to build a whole stage over the Combi, put in a big drape. You can't tell anybody, and then like an hour before in the mall, you can announce, hey, free concert." And so like 1,000 people come in, and it said some Episcopal church choir on this drape. And then it dropped down, and the Red Hot Chili Peppers played for 2 hours.
Wow.
It was awesome.
Above the Combi.
On top of a stage.
On top of the okay.
Giant stage
Okay.
was built.
Wow.
Yeah.
Were people skating the Combi at this?
No, you couldn't. It was
just-
underneath. Yeah.
Okay.
It was just a concert. But they had done, the month before, they had done Blink-182 down at their high school in Oceanside.
Oh.
And so they were doing this, different bands playing in different unique places.
Surprise concerts.
Man, it is
So-
such a shame that these greedy people want to up the rent on you guys.
I know, and we closed them down. But the opening party for the block, we had no idea how many people, so there was no restriction. So there was like 3,000 people. All I know is that it was like 27 kegs of beer they went through
In the
all
mall,
food.
like,
You know,
yeah.
I mean, because we bought them from there was a brewery just down the way, and finally we just said we better shut this baby off, you know. But everybody had a great time. So at that time, everybody came skating, hanging out. It was just a big party.
How many parks are operating at the moment?
That we own, which is and run, which would be the Block in Orange and Huntington Beach.
Okay, so you once had 9, and now there's
Yeah,
two.
it went to right away when those things came up. We closed them down.
Well, the other one's
Yeah.
outdoor one, right? That's the outdoor park.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
But then the
Mine
Combi one, but is it not skatable at the moment? What's going on with it?
Yeah, it was kind of COVID closed it down for a couple of years.
Okay.
There was an accident was there, and
yeah.
so since then, and the mall for the last 2 years been saying they're going to close it down, move our location for our store, and put, because it's 45,000 square feet, they want to put outlet stuff in there, but it keeps going 6 months at a time. So we're actually looking into it right now to try to see if we can get Combi back open.
Gotcha. That'd be
But
great,
we've
yeah.
been able to do some private parties like Cab's 30th anniversary
Oh,
for the
amazing.
half cab.
Yeah.
And we've been able to do like Bucky called up, hey, I'm turning 50. Okay. And then all of a sudden, you know, so was different times we've opened it up just
Amazing.
for private parties. And
Yeah, because
we'll
I know
do in the
that
future.
I know that means a lot to a lot of people.
Yep.
That place, and
It's-
that Combi.
It's to me, you know, it's like Gladiators when you get all the stands and we can hold like 1,500 and have them everybody sitting and, you know, the Grasso years and having everybody roaring for him and stuff. So, and we do have like 15 different years, like the Boston Garden of who won.
Okay.
Oh, wow.
So
Okay.
I've always, if we were going to be done next month, I'm going to run an event the last time for skating and last time for BMX.
It's the best
then-
contest in skateboarding, by the way.
I totally
I've
agree.
shot them multiple, and they're the best contest.
Yep, and it's the funnest. It's just real skateboarding.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I love street and I love vert and I love pools. I love park, but there's nothing like the Combi.
Man, it is.
And it's so funny how it switched. I mean, you know, you have because you just go up there and you look at Rune and all of a sudden Omer, and then you have Rune, and all of a sudden you have Bucky, and then you know these are the winners and stuff. And the last 2 years there was nobody over 18.
how crazy is that?
Whoa! I mean,
Crazy.
Pedro came in like 5 years earlier than that, and then all of a sudden, you know, you had these young kids.
Yeah.
But
getting
if you
better and better.
and girls.
Oh, yeah.
If you give an opportunity for them, and then we switched the pay. So you know, like 6-7 years ago, we're going to pay in skate, snow, surf, BMX, same for girls.
I love it.
And now they're more out there.
Yeah.
And look at how they're skating today and stuff.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of like Lizzie like set the tone for a lot of these like new girls to come in too. You know.
Yep. And it's cool because somebody like Cara Beth Burnside,
Yeah,
she was
Cara Beth
always
Adley,
the
yeah.
only girl, you know, on the ramp,
forever.
you know, with all, you know, Tony, Hawk and everybody else
Oh,
and
yeah.
stuff. And you know, again, nobody realizes that, you know, she went in the Olympics, she got 4th in the Winter Olympics in snowboarding because she was a real good snowboarder too. And but you know, she was the girl and she was the thrasher on the cover, and then Lizzie got the cover,
Yep.
and now I see that there's a new going to be covering with a girl and stuff, which is
It's
Yep.
happening.
I love it.
Anessa
I love it.
Steamer, I think is it?
Alyssa.
Alyssa.
Oh, Alyssa, yeah,
Yeah,
she
yeah.
got the cover. Yeah.
Yeah, she just got it. Yeah.
Congratulations and stuff.
Yeah.
Super proud. But you know, those are the things that kind of, when I look back, that got to keep making happen. Now,
Yeah.
when we opened Huntington Beach, we did another Combi because I thought we were going to be kicked out,
Right.
and we reversed it. So talking with the different skaters, hey, should we mirror it? You know, so half of them wanted this way, half of them wanted that way. We said, let's make it different, you know. So they had the original out at Upland, and then we have the Combi at the Vans Park for like 28 years, and then we have Huntington Beach. We've never had an event there yet.
Yeah.
So sometime,
Yeah.
you know, in the future,
You got
we'll
to
make
do.
sure
It. Well, hopefully you guys can get that park back open.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
because it means a lot to a lot of people. I know that. But yeah, you've been involved with so much stuff. I'm just curious. Like when your dad and his partner sold Vans.
Yep.
Well, how old were you at that point?
Let's see. So that's 1987,
Yeah.
55, 65, 75, 85, 30.
Okay.
You know, 32 or something like that.
Okay.
There.
What was your feeling? Because you had been involved with this since you were like 10 years old,
Yep.
right? And now it's going to be sold. You're going to not only be working, you're working for other people now. Like, what were you conflicted? Were you excited? What was going on back
my
then?
dad called me over to his house. He had like 10 acres in Corona.
Okay.
We had his horses. And he says, come on over. He says, I'm going to be at the tennis court. So that didn't mean we're playing tennis because we never played tennis. It means he's going to wash the tennis court and I'm going to be squeegeeing.
And come over to work.
Yeah. That's it. So I'm squeegeeing and stuff. And he told me, what would you say if I said I was going to sell the company? Wow. And I said, Dad, you were this close to losing everything in your life from 84 to 87. I says, absolutely do it. He says, I'll do whatever I do. I love working at Vans and stuff and continue on there and stuff like that. And so that's what happened and stuff. So I just basically go into things always at 150%. And new people, going through what they're doing. And again, some of the new people that came in, they wanted to build another factory. They thought they could do more efficiency than what my dad learned for the last 45 years. So they're going to build a factory down in Encinitas.
Ah.
Okay. And they're going to let people, I call them the Harvard graduates, are going to go run it. Okay. So I was,
Let's see what happens.
They build all kinds of all brand new machinery, and they go down, and it's called mass make and ship today. So they put a factory in there, and they were working along fine, but they never made ticket. They never really got it right. Okay. So the factory up in Orange was making 100,000 pair a day. 100,000 pair a week.
Okay.
Jeez.
And so like 20,000 a day,
lot.
5 days. So, and then that factory down there was making, 3,000 or 5,000 pair. But everything they wanted to do with this all new make and ship Japanese technology and stuff with all brand new machinery never panned out. And I know why, because my dad had systems down pat, what was working here and the factory there and stuff. So unfortunately, when you don't take care of people, unions and stuff maybe wanted to come in.
Sure.
Complaints. Okay, because that was a whole different work crew versus the work crew that had been around for years, decades and stuff. So eventually that was causing some problems. And the new company wanted to move production overseas. So in 1994, closed down the Orange factory. About 6 months later, closed down the other factory.
Wow.
And everything was offshore. So me and my sister take a picture out in front of the building. It was a sad day and stuff.
You painted that place.
This is the Batavia one.
Oh, okay, different one.
Yep.
Okay.
A different one. More land, more buildings and stuff. They were all metal buildings and stuff.
Okay.
But I was always in charge of retail in the 70s and 80s. And then when the company was sold, I went into doing private label. They wanted more manufacturing. Same thing as you have stores, they want more manufacturing. So I went into, making shoes for Disney, make shoes for J. Crew, make shoes for Nordstrom, different projects. And I was always tacked to go and get more production and stuff.
Okay.
So I would do those things there. Then Vans Warped Tour came around. So the president at the time, I actually quit for a day.
Who? You?
Me.
Why?
Yeah,
What
because
happened?
they had a new boss in. Okay. They brought a boss in, and for like 6 months, 8 months, and nice guy, but it was a real pain.
But here, let me ask you a question. They bring this new, but do you know that this is happening, or just you show up to work one day and there's this new guy?
They let the first president go, so the chairman of the board took over for about 6 months while they were looking for a new president.
Okay.
So they hire a new president, and he comes in, and he has a certain way about him and stuff, kind of arrogant, type of person.
Sure.
And you could never please him. We were going to have a sale on the weekend where we took our parking lot and then invited the public to come for a sale. So we do $250,000, He never comes by on Friday night, Saturday, or Sunday. Money, couldn't you get $300,000? Where were you, We sold our asses off and got this done.
It was just never enough.
No, never enough.
Yeah.
And so what happens is that a lot of things that they were going around taking blood pressure of people because he was just kind of a tyrant type of thing. I said, I don't need that. My dad was 10 times the tyrant he was and stuff, yelling and whatever and stuff, So I just got fed up because of the way I thought I was being treated and stuff. So I asked my dad for a lawyer, and I wrote a resignation letter. I handed it in. And then I went to Los Angeles to see my customer up there to pick up the last checks and stuff to bring down.
Oh, you were literally done.
I was done. I handed in a letter and I left and I went to Los Angeles, and I get a call at noontime from representatives from the owners, George McCown, David DeLue, New York, and Menlo Park, said, Steve, could you come back in tomorrow at noontime? I says, okay. So next day I come at noontime. The board of directors is sitting there, and they had fired the guy. And they figured if I was fed up with this gentleman enough that I was going to leave, then they
got rid of him.
Wow.
So the person before him, the chairman of the board that got him and stuff, the next morning I come in at 6 o'clock, because I came in early always and stuff, and Walter came in early, and he walked in my office, and he was an older gentleman, but, you know, he hands me this manila envelope. That was the envelope I had my thing. He says, I don't want that. I said, well, let me see what, okay. I said, Walter, I says, because I wasn't seeing eye to eye with him.
Right.
Because I just thought he was following wrong advice. And I says, last thing I want to do is leave the company, but if you don't mind, I don't mind let's take 3 months. And if you think I'm full of shit the next 3 months, or I think that it's still terrible here, then, you know, I'll stay or I'll go.
Okay.
He says, okay. I never had a problem after that. So the first thing he did was puts an article in one of the action sports, you know, ASR or whatever magazines. Steve Van Doren had carte blanche for events. Because that was my new thing, marketing, to go and do events.
You could do
And
whatever
so
you want.
I was up in Whistler at a snow event, and there was this red helicopter. So I took the magnet off my van, and I put it on the helicopter. I took a picture. Now, there's no phones, so I have to wait till I get home. Bring it into his office and say, oh, thanks, Walter, I really appreciate it. What that? Yeah. No, I said, just kidding.
You played a joke on him.
Yeah, I played a joke on him and stuff. But we got along great after that.
That's pretty good.
You know, and stuff. And so we went into being able to do great events, Vans Triple Crown events. From there, you know, we did downtown showdowns. We were able to go.
Great
you know,
event.
we went into Slam City Jams, and we did, you know, Park Series eventually. But we went through all these years of the first events that we did, the Vans Triple Crowns. It was, you know, NBC, and then it was Gillette. It was G-Shock. It was Mountain Dew. There was X Games were going on. They had just started. So we got these people together to go and do our series in not just skateboarding, but surfing, snowboarding, BMX, freestyle motocross, wakeboarding. Oh, we got wakeboarding in there. Yep. So we did like 21 events. And so we had all these sponsors for like 5 years. And eventually it was the same type of thing where, you know, I don't like things that everybody else does them. So I decided Mountain Dew was going to go do a Dew tour. And so we broke apart. And that's where we decided, okay, hey, let's do street. Let's go downtown showdown. So we tried to look into renting some streets in L.A. Wasn't going to happen. So we went to the studios. First year was Universal. The next 4 years was at Paramount.
I
The
loved
first
it.
one was cool, yeah, that one at Universal.
I mean,
Oh, yeah.
here you are on the back lot where
Yeah.
they film movies and stuff.
Here's
and
New York
it's-
looking thing. And so what we
I
wanted to
loved
do
it.
is
That was super cool.
help out the skateboard companies. The board company says, okay, we're going to put $50,000 up for the winning team. You have 5 different companies, different brands and stuff like that there. Tell us what you want us to make, and then we made those, whatever it was, whatever the craziest bar things that glide, you know, slant. So it was, and then
And every team had to skate the obstacles.
Yeah. And you could hand, I think it was like 2 pro, 3 amps, your team. And you could have 9 and then move in different ones for different things because this is a stair and this is, you know,
Or-
whatever it is.
Transition this,
Yeah,
whatever.
know,
whoever
and-
skated that stuff best.
Best. And so it was a friendly competition, but then they could drink. So we had bars all over the place. I could barbecue.
Yeah.
So it was always
You got a barbecue.
we had 3,000 people there.
Uh-huh.
And it was great. So we did
so
it-
much fun.
We did it here 3 or 4 years, and then Europe wanted to get involved. So it was great. So we went to first Italy. It was on the Fiat racetrack up on top of a building. It was unbelievable. Then
Some footage
really
from
got
it.
interested.
There's some footage from
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
But I went to
I was
most
at
of
that
them.
one.
They were so much fun. I think it was just really cool for everybody
Johnny.
to be in this, back lot
Yeah.
of where they film
Not
movies and
bleachers
stuff.
all sitting there. No,
you felt
Walk
more
around.
like you were. It was fake city, but you felt more like you were in the streets.
Yep.
You know, it was really rad, man. I enjoyed it.
Working with the industry.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
I
we
mean-
wanted to help out. So then when they said we're going to go to Europe, so we went to Amsterdam. We went to Germany. Was that Munster, Christy? Where was it? Okay. And then France, Paris. And then so there was like 4 or 5 stops, London. And so we would then pay some teams to go over, from here to represent. So it'd be like 3 teams from here and 3 teams from Europe. And so that was, then from there was a Combi. And so then we did that for like 7 or 8 years. In between, we'd be doing, Slam City Jam, but then we started the Combi contests.
Let me ask you a question. What happens with stuff like that, right? This was a good one, the Downtown Showdown, right? But then it stops,
Yeah.
right? Well, why does something like that stop?
Yeah,
Like, is there something new that you want to go and tackle? Or
That's kind of what we moved on.
Okay.
Because I like things going a long time, like the Warped Tour for
they're so
24 years,
fun.
the Combi for
Yeah.
15 years. But sometimes you move on. I don't know why the park started. That was just some internal things there because I really wanted to do something with, to go along with street. Mm-hmm. And so, having, some other way. And I always remember Cardiel Omar telling me about Marseille, France, which was like a park area, all graffitied up.
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm.
So we decided.
Very famous bowl.
Yep. So we got the actual plans from there. I had Joe build it at the Vans US Open the first year on the sand. Exactly.
I remember.
Then from there, we morphed it different ways for the next 3 or 4 years. And then we started to build. We built one in Malmo, Sweden. We built a park out in Sao Paulo, Brazil.
Amazing.
We built one in Paris. We built one in Montreal. We built one in Salt Lake City. And so those are all there for those cities to keep that we built.
Wow.
And they're public. We rebuilt them, but we left them. And so I was super proud, when the Olympics decided to do street and do park.
Yeah.
Because that was a whole era for probably like 7 or 8 years that those skaters learned and appreciated, transition and the speed of it. Because street is so hard, and you see the regular public look and see the miss. They think that is not good. No, you go try it. They finally land it. But in park, it's moving. Whoa. I love this thing. And, it's moving all the time. And I got to know all of those age groups that grew up from Combi. Everybody that did the Combi always went into park too.
Did you ever skate?
I never did. I have pictures
Really?
of me and my brother got like sweaters on skating in our house in Costa Mesa down the street. But people like skateboard, surf, snowboard, BMX, never did any of them. I was traditional sport, baseball, basketball, football.
I love that.
But
Yeah.
I was always there. I drove them all out there, made sure that our company was there and supported it 180%.
Well, I love the fact that you are so ingrained in skateboarding. You know everything that there is in skateboarding, but you never, it just goes to show you don't need to skateboard to
No.
be in the skateboarding business or love skateboarding.
And they have the passion behind it. Yeah.
100%.
It's just like announcers at a baseball game.
Sure.
They might have never played, but they've been watching it for
know
a
it.
Yeah,
They know
yeah,
every
Now,
ins and outs.
I can't say I know every in and out, but all I know is that I drive and I'm hearing, oh, look at that ledge over there. I'm with my dad, 88. He's 88 years old. This is like 5 years ago.
Okay.
And we're in Milan. And some of the riders, Jeff and Lizzie and Ray, went out ahead of time to go skate this ledge or whatever.
Jeff Grasso, Lizzie Armanto, Ray
Jeff
Barbie.
Rowley.
Jeff Rowley, excuse me.
At this time. And so they went to go skate. So somehow Pete got the pin where they're going to be. So we took my dad, me, Christian was with us because I had his knee operated, so he had one of those rolling things.
Okay.
So we get out of the car, and there's like a glass wall around this federal building. And they're all inside skating these, granite ledges, and they're having a ball. And so Christian throws his thing over, climbs over, and he's inside there. And all of a sudden, my dad's sitting on a bench, and we're watching them all. And all of a sudden, they're all running, jumping over the glass thing and running to the car. And there's like security. My dad's going, what's going on? I said, Dad, we're not supposed to be here. So before we get thrown in jail, let's go. So I could just see that picture of all of us in jail and stuff. They got out, we got in the
Amazing.
car,
Yeah.
and we left and stuff. But, but everywhere I go, skaters have a different view of a city completely.
Yeah.
And, so I get to look at things and stuff. We're over in Portugal, and there's this big Seco watch thing that this things comes down, and I see Caballero and Tony Alva and Christian looking, going, oh. So I stop in the middle of it was a big turnaround, right? So I stop, let him out, and all of a sudden, you see him, and then they're turning and coming down this thing, and it's in the centerpiece and stuff. But they find more ways to find interesting places to,
For sure.
Oh, yeah.
and especially, watching the younger skaters today
yeah.
and stuff. There's no fear.
It's skateboarding, man. It's, we do see the world differently.
Yep.
For
Oh,
sure.
yeah.
For sure.
I have a question actually about the Vans Park series.
Yep.
It was big contest. It was involved working with the Olympics initially, right? To go into the Olympics?
We did it for like 3 or 4 years, and then the Olympics talked about it, and then we were going to be involved, but we didn't get involved. And it was just kind of a political thing that I didn't like.
Okay.
You know, I'm glad it's in there.
Yeah.
I'm glad the riders are having a good time. I just didn't like that when they first started a year and a half in advance. There was a great skater today, Jagger. I was in China, and they had a rule. Again, this is the first thing. Olympics aren't for a year and a half. They had a rule. You had to be 18. You had to wear a helmet. Mm-hmm. So Jagger's like a month away from being 18, and he qualified first, and then they were going to disqualify him.
Someone tattled on him.
Oh, he wasn't because he wasn't wearing a helmet.
Right. So then,
somebody
so
tattled.
I'm sitting here. I'm saying, okay, I know all of the head people, the judges, and everything else and stuff are there, and I'm waiting for them to come back. And then it didn't matter what anybody said from USA Skateboarding or this or that. The guy from Italy makes a decision. So they tell him, okay, now you can go and skate again and see if you can qualify, which he would have anyway. So before he went out and with the helmet and stuff, skated again, and all of a sudden they just said, no, you're disqualified. So him and his dad got up and left. I got up and left, and it was the last time I talked about it.
Wow.
It's just you know, integrity.
Well, there's USA
And they gave him an opportunity to do it again.
He was going to go back out there and skate again.
That's
Right.
crazy.
And then, no.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah, that's lame.
Well, there's USA Skateboarding, but then what you're talking about, the Italy is the governing body that governs all
The
wheel
head
sports,
guy for
right?
Olympics and stuff that was there. And
It's
stuff.
all wheels, like
Yeah,
anything,
it's
anything
called
that has a
roller skating.
wheel.
in those
Yeah.
days, it would have been roller skating, whatever, and stuff like
Yeah,
that.
yeah, yeah,
But
yeah.
it was just going, and the people inside at that time, you know, I really wanted to see, you know, Park keep growing and stuff.
Sure,
but we just
sure.
decided, okay. And then the next couple times we had the Vans US Open, they built more street things, which is okay. So
yeah.
we give them some love on the beach and stuff too for both BMX and skate and stuff.
We got to do more Vans downtown showdowns
I know.
and stuff.
Yes.
That's where
know.
it's so much fun.
I know.
It's so much fun.
Why didn't I hear word that was coming back? Is that
See,
is there?
okay, let's do it. I know. But don't worry, I'm the events guy.
Let's
and, you know,
go.
again, just new faces and stuff in the company.
Sure,
I
sure,
just have
sure.
to convince them. But absolutely,
Hell yeah,
you know,
beautiful.
I mean, there's nothing better. I always wanted to get an airplane and invite, you know, let's say 20 guy skaters, 20 girl skaters, and you sign up by, you don't know where we're going. It's, you know, and you just fly out to a location and
Love
then
that.
do it there. You know, because I always heard like Omar told me about Black Pearl out in the Caribbean and stuff. Great, let's fly there and go.
Let's find
You
it.
know, but of
course Omar wants to go there.
There's so many parks that are out there today that it would be great. It's an unknown destination. You know,
my
they
God.
have Survivor and everything else.
Oh,
Why not,
yeah,
you know,
yeah.
That would be
just
amazing.
follow this thing. Fly in, ready to go.
Van Survivor.
Yeah. You see,
Last person standing wins.
Yeah.
I just like, you know what, for me it's bringing the skateboarding community together. That's what these events and contests are, you know.
And we've always wanted to be inclusive.
Yeah.
To me, it's not just about our brand; it's about skateboarding brand. It's everybody. You know, we've done many contests. Hey, Don, come on over. You know, bring your brand. Hey, come on over with your wheels and trucks, and you know.
Everybody.
Yeah. And that's the best way. It's good for everybody.
Right.
Just because, and again, and you get the best talent. You know, they have, you know, Tampa Am, and then they have Phoenix Am, and the young people get a chance to go out. Then we need more of that.
For sure.
You know, that's advertised for skaters feel like they have a place to go. How do I become a pro?
Sure.
You know,
sure.
I was listening to the story with the Bones Brigade. They reached out. That was another thing we just did about 3 months ago, is they had a reunion of Bones Brigade at the skate park.
I heard about
Block
that,
of Orange.
yeah.
And so Stacy, George, and then all the Bones Brigade guys were there. And they're talking about stories and stuff. And Christian was there, and then they called Christian up to join them and stuff, and talking about the stories because Christian was, you know, on Dogtown. He was on Alva.
Yeah.
And they wanted to have him go over to Bones Brigade, and he was there for a while. And then he thought he wanted to go to pro, and Stacy wanted him to wait about a year and a half. So he left, okay, and he went to Dagger, he went to different things, and eventually it took a year and a half before he became pro. So Stacy was kind of on it, but they talk about that story because he left, Tony Hawk came in. That was Christian's replacement from the Bones Brigade.
Wow.
When Christian left, then Tony Hawk came in. So you see how all these things tie together, and
It's so
how those
funny.
guys, you know, just legendary people. You know, that's the thing. You know, that group and the older group earned their way because of the time they spent around the world signing autographs before selfies and all this other
yeah,
thing.
yeah,
But
yeah.
they paid the time. They
Big
did the
time.
demos.
Yeah.
There's a lady that I still sponsor today, Gail Webb. and Gail was like America's sportsman, but she always did demos at all the schools. She did it at Knott's Berry Farm. She did it at, the other amusement parks around the whole country. And Gail's been with us probably close to 40 years.
Wow.
And just, loves kids, and people like Tony Hawk and people like that all were in her shows. They learned how to perform under pressure doing a show. And, she's just an amazing person, and we still, love her. And people like Sonia Catalina, who passed away last year, with Castle.
Mm-hmm.
How many kids came up from
big part of
Castle?
it.
Castle contest.
Oh,
Castle.
Yeah.
And Castle's still going on. We still support them with things that we give and
Here's
stuff
Gail
like that.
Webb right here.
Yeah. Oh,
America's sports mom.
Yep. So she rode motorcycles. She still does. But she's in her 70s, okay? But she was sponsored by motorcycle companies, but skate companies, bike. But she did all of these shows all around the world, and really, was the beginning years of skateboarding and people to see what they could do, because here's this lady and she's promoting and she's saying no to drugs, she's saying no to alcohol, and it's just have fun.
Right.
And so that was her. So, but Gail actually going to come see us next week and stuff. She lives, She lives out in like a Temecula area, Paris, Menifee. So there's a new pump track that they big out there, out in Menifee, I think it is, or Paris area. And I went to the opening and they named it after her. And so everybody, it's like, for bikes and skateboards.
I love that.
But it's a big pump.
There's the plexiglass ramps right there. See?
Yep.
Wow.
So we had one, because the guys in the early days, they had, 8-foot, 12-foot ramps. That's it. I mean, you have a contest, can't get 50 feet or less. Those guys had to
limited.
perform, and there was no flat bottom. It was.
It was quick.
Wow.
Yeah. So we were going to be on the Today Show one time. Ever took our plexiglass fans ramp on a barge over to Catalina for the Today Show to do it. And we almost lost it in the water because it was rough seas going over. Almost went over. But they got it done.
Wow.
Yeah, I feel like you have so much fun.
Yeah. No.
Nonstop.
That's, I guess if I wasn't enjoying what I was doing, at my age, 68 years old, I wouldn't be doing it.
Well, you almost you were enjoying it at one point, and you were ready to walk away from everything.
Yep.
I asked you about first of all, let's get into the cab stuff too, because the cab had his shoe that came out in, what do you say, 89?
Yeah, he was working on 88, 89. The full cab came out.
The full cab.
Right.
I love the fact, and this kind of goes back to you guys even listening to your customers on what colors they want and what they want on their shoes, but here was a full cab.
Yep.
People were starting to cut them, put stickers around them, duct tape, whatever. And Cab said, "Okay, I'm sick of this."
Yeah. Steve.
Let's just
help
make
me
a
out.
low cab or whatever,
Yeah.
And
so that's where the half cab came.
The
and
half
stuff.
cab.
So came inside. Actually, Bunny, one of our designers, she's the one that worked with Steve and I. But he was so particular on the first one, meaning he wanted to have that kind of croc-looking leather and every little piece on it. My dad would have went nuts.
Why?
It was after his time. He sold the company because there was so many stitching parts on that shoe.
this shoe right here.
We had limitations on how many we could make. Look at all the stitches on this. Stitching is a real special thing that not anybody can do. And this shoe here has many different layers, so it would wear longer.
Okay.
In the ollie area, as well as different angles, puff, in the back for the tongue's puffy. There's a label. My dad never would have okayed any of this stuff because he's pretty simple. Okay. So this happened after it wasn't his company. We could only make maybe 1,000 pair a day. Then it would go to 1,250. 6 months later, it would go to 1,500 pair a day. Eventually, so it was limitations because of the stitching.
Got you.
And so eventually, with it being overseas now and stuff, there's no limitations. But those first 5 or 6 years, and when the half cab came out, we couldn't make as many as we could sell.
Interesting.
So it was a specialty thing. And again, with Vans, you could make it yellow, orange, green, whatever you want, custom made. But it's a very hard shoe to stitch.
I love that it was such a labor-intensive shoe, but then now you got people cutting them.
Yeah.
And just like
Fact.
all the work that went into them, they're just cutting right off.
Yeah, and then the half cab, and it just had the 30th anniversary this last year.
Isn't that crazy? 30 years. But I love the fact that he went in and was like, listen, let's just let's cut this off.
Right.
People are already doing
art
it.
and everything else and stuff. Yeah,
I love that.
And everything that he's ever done when it happened to be cab 2, 3, 4 different things that were made in the 90s and stuff. He's very involved. If
Rowley?
huh?
Rowley?
Yeah. Even more involved. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, his shoe definitely took off.
Yes, and
Yeah.
there's 25 years coming up on the Rowley original coming up 2024.
I feel like Rowley did a great job of bringing the brand back to its roots.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
Another one of the save the days.
Yeah.
No, it was. No, 'cause, again, we talked about, the Chapter 11, right? Then the
Yep.
new company comes in,
Yep.
and they grow the company up to a certain point. Again, 94, 95 manufacturing.
300 million.
Right. 95, 96. 94, 95. Manufacturing goes overseas.
Sure.
The reason is all of the other brands, the DCs, and everybody else has puffy shoes. So I was in an executive meeting with like 13, vice presidents and stuff, and I put about 100 shoes on the wall. They weren't using our side stripe at all. Everything was puffy. Everything was made overseas. So I put all the other brands and I put ours up there. So you show me which one's a Vans. Because I went through this before with athletic shoes, 1984. This is 1998, 99. Okay? And I call them, they were all full of shit. I says, because our DNA, we were making like 6 million pair of shoes in America. Now in vulcanized, now we were making less than 2 million, 1.5 million. Because everybody was so excited to go over and get Wally's and get this and get that and all these different shoes that were made overseas because it was things we couldn't do before making athletic looking. But it wasn't us.
Right.
So Geoff came in at the same time, designers, Millsy, and other people came in and wanted to get it back to who we were.
Yes.
Because I just told them all, hey, this ain't who Vans is and stuff. So Geoff came in, was working on his vulcanized shoe, as well as they took somebody from doing some kind of like outerwear thing and had him go in and start designing back to the classics.
When all the puffy stuff was coming in, though, were you just like, okay, well, let's try this? I mean, this is the way that it's going.
Right.
So why not?
They
Should we?
forgot about all the classic stuff.
Oh, they
that
forgot. That's why.
And we're just involved in wanting to do all these things here. And so we switched back, went back to vulcanized, and again from there, today we have things like Ultra Range and MTE, other things that can grow that way. But
Sure.
Still, Rowley in 99, 2000 helped us get back on track.
Because he wanted this.
Yes.
He wanted a
He wanted the board
Vans
feel. He
shoe.
wanted to have back to the original waffle sole board feel vulcanized shoe.
Just staying true to who you guys were at
Yep.
the end of the day.
What year was this?
90, I would say that's probably 99, 2000.
99, 2000. And plus, listen, I mean, he came out with this shoe with the grinding the Staples Center hubba.
Yep.
Like,
Yeah.
come on.
Yeah,
That's
and some of the things flying over.
Oh,
and
my
then,
gosh.
flying over on these containers that can. I don't know where they went in Long Beach and.
Oh,
doing
yeah.
But he was a really good marketer.
Look
with
at
his
this.
old board company.
Come
Yep.
on, man.
Dude, how did you guys get that statue there? The statue of him.
Yeah, it's just kind of cool that we can talk about it a little bit here. So,
Sure, please.
So up at Staples Center there this week, I think they're going to be bringing Kobe.
Kobe, yeah.
Right.
Oh,
So again, they had Shaq, they had Kareem, Magic, and so they're like 85. This is like 6 years ago, $85,000 we spent because we wanted to do it, and then the marketing people wanted to do it right there at Staples Center and do an opening, and Geoff wanted to do it at our office and stuff. So we brought it down and put it there. And so just talking to Geoff, how he told me to come on the nightclub, he would really like for it to go back to his hometown.
Oh,
To Liverpool.
Liverpool.
I thought you were going to say we wanted it here. Yeah. I was going to say we could put it right here. It'd be amazing.
So I'm going to make that happen. So we're going to try to go out and meet the people in Liverpool because they got the Beatles all out there. So it doesn't have to be where the Beatles are, but let's get somewhere in the city so they can talk about this young skater who went to America and made himself a career, and it's Geoff Rowley. And so I want to do that, get that thing in a container and get it shipped over there and then get it set up and work with the city. So hopefully, in the next year or so, we can do something. Because I think
That'd
that's
be really
awesome.
cool. Oh, my God.
That'd be super
he
cool.
would be so stoked that his parents could go and see,
Where would that be? Or you guys just got to figure that out.
Yeah, we got to figure
Okay.
somewhere in Liverpool.
Where's it now?
It's at our office.
It's at the office,
Yeah, it's at the
okay.
front as you come in.
Oh, yeah?
It's kind of
Here
our-
it is right here. Look at
Yep.
this.
Yep.
Sick.
That's
Wow,
amazing.
85,000.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, that thing is solid.
That's one.
Yeah.
That's
I mean, it's
one
all
of a kind
bronze,
right there.
but it's all granite. It's all lead. It's,
Oh,
it's,
my gosh. I was thinking about getting one made of me, but that's expensive.
Was it hard to work with them on getting this to happen?
the guy that builds them, I guess, is from like Minnesota, Michigan area, and so
We're gonna do full-on CADs of him, like actually standing in the position to send it over. To
Oh, he had to do CADs and everything. Okay, yeah.
and so
Crazy.
3D scans, probably.
But also,
Yeah,
like,
super cool.
I mean, if anyone that knows that you go there and skate, you're not allowed to skate there. So how did the Staples Center feel about having a statue of something you're not allowed to do there?
it was there quick.
Yeah.
It cost money to be able
3
to set
days?
it up.
Oh, it's 3
Yeah,
days.
yeah.
Okay.
There.
Was it
2 days?
3 days. It stayed.
3
that-
days.
That was at the Staples Center for 3 days.
Okay,
Okay.
3 days.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Wow.
And then
Very
love
cool.
that.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
Yeah, bring it back to Liverpool, man.
I know, so that'd be kind of cool.
Yeah,
Be,
that'd be super
somewhere
cool.
skaters all over the world go and check it out there and stuff. Because again, they're real big in soccer. Having Liverpool as well as another soccer team just down the street, and they're building a whole new stadium and stuff. But it'd be something that Geoff was kind of said. Yeah, I already cut. He'd be super proud.
That would be amazing.
So
What's Jeff? What's Geoff Rowley's shoe number?
it didn't have a number.
What?
Yeah, I mean it had had a name.
When
They
did
all
you
had-
No, no, but when did
Rowley.
Now that was in 19.
when did you guys stop the number process?
My dad sold the company. They stopped the number.
They stopped the
process.
number. Oh,
Wait,
After
that's
the fact-
right.
after the factory's kind of in between, probably 88 and 95. No more numbers.
No more numbers.
I mean, because you have no idea how many other numbers there are. I mean, colors. Throw
Oh,
me
sure.
red 21.
Oh.
What's white, Bob?
38.
Oh,
30.
What's
Purple.
Bob? Purple 22. So orange would be probably 82. 82. I mean,
67.
67 is rust, right?
What's number? What's 69?
Spice.
That's a perfect.
67
Perfect.
Spice, right?
Wow.
3867 Spice.
Yes.
Yep.
That's appropriate. That's appropriate.
Checkerboard X47 because black is 47.
So-
So checkerboard is X47.
So the numbers there were just too many numbers. Like you had the
no, I
colors
guess they
numbers
just didn't
and
like
then,
them because I mean the way it was, they had the style,
Yeah.
the color, the gender.
Okay.
44 authentic, 19 navy blue, gender 6006 was men's, 5006, 6005 5005 was boys, 404 was youth.
Oh, so you
there's-
could be like 40, 45, 601, but you could say all these numbers and somebody would know exactly what shoe you're talking
Yeah.
and color and everything.
like Bob could say, I could sit there and say, hey Bob, old school black.
Old school black, 3647.
Right.
3647.
White-
Why is 3647? Why?
36 is old school.
Oh.
47 is black.
Okay.
Okay,
Color was
Bob.
always in the middle.
How about white slip-on?
98 is the style, 38 is the color.
Hello.
Okay.
If
Right.
you wanted a job, you memorized it.
What about what about white chukka boots?
Which white check?
White chukka boots, you're going to be 4938.
Yep.
4938.
Yeah, right.
Okay.
Right. Skate high, checkerboard, black and white.
Okay, you got 38 for the style, X47.
Checkerboard.
That's amazing.
Oh
It's
my
sick.
gosh.
The funny thing is, my brother Paul, okay, my sister Kathy, okay, my sister Cheryl,
Yeah.
because we all worked with my dad with numbers, always. I could ask my brother Paul, he would know every one of the numbers.
Yeah. Everyone, everything.
So
Sick.
crazy. Yeah.
Can't remember what tomorrow is, but I know.
It's ingrained.
And you want the funny thing is, in 66 to like 76, the number one color was not black. We didn't have black authentics. We didn't have black slip-ons. We didn't have black. Black wasn't a color.
Wow.
It was, we might have made a basketball shoe in black, but it was never in the thing. And then all of a sudden, in the mid 70s,
It's such a
black
staple
started
now.
coming- oh yeah,
Yeah.
Wow.
But yeah, so funny how.
When you, I mean, we spoke on like, your dad bringing you to the tennis court to help
Yeah.
him work and tell him he's going to sell the company for 75 million or whatever it was.
Yep.
But then later on, VF Corp comes in, they buy the company.
2004.
2004.
It was a $300 million company, not making any money in 2004.
Yeah.
And so they came in and bought the company at that
For
time.
almost $400 million.
Yep.
Now, when you, when you are sitting there
Yeah.
and you hear these numbers being thrown around, are you just like, wait a minute, my dad
Right.
started this company. I was 10 years old. I'm painting the warehouse. I'm doing all this stuff. I'm memorizing these numbers. I've turned into a madman with these numbers. And here we are today selling this company again for 400 million. Are
Right.
you,
Right.
does this even
I
like,
had stock. I just didn't have. I wish I would have had a lot more, but it was very beneficial.
But not even that,
It's just-
not even the monetary gain that you get, but just like the company that your
Yes.
dad built. Like, are you just like not that many people can sell a company for $400 million?
Right. But then over the next 18 years,
Yeah.
they see how it grew because they gave money to put in a lot of retail stores. They got they grew it and grew it and grew it.
Sure.
And made it profitable.
Right.
But it blows my mind going to other countries. I'm looking at feet always. I always said, glad Dad you didn't start a bra company, so I'd be looking at the boobs. I'm looking at feet always.
Yeah.
And anywhere I go, and then if I see
My eyes are up here, Steve.
if I say something to somebody, they have a story.
Yeah.
Everybody has a story,
It just must be incredible.
and it's just I walk down the street and said, hey.
Everyone's wearing
Yeah,
it.
they're everywhere, bro, for
We have
sure.
friends on vacations taking pictures in London.
No, they send it to me.
and
They're in
Europe
they're
and-
different all over the world.
It's crazy.
know.
It's crazy. I think it's interesting too because like a lot of the kids growing up now, like they only know Vans as like this VF Corp situation, right?
Right.
Oh, it's corporate. It's this, that, and the other. But like, everything that you've talked about today is anything but a corporate company.
I try as much and hard as I can with Christy and Bob to try to make it feel like the original company. They let me do that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And we want to do that more just because there is legacy behind grandparents that have kids that have grandkids, and they're all. What brands do you know can kind of go down that way?
Right.
We just want to make sure the new generations that get introduced to Vans in a way for the downtown showdowns.
There you go.
That they can get involved. Some kind of music event that, where Warped, stopped, that we can pick that back up again because musicians, we go to a motorcycle event called Born Free. It's in June over in the Orange Hills. 10,000 motorcycle riders come over the weekend. And they wear old school skate highs. And, somebody like Brad Pitt 4 or 5 years ago comes pulling up on a motorcycle. But there's packs of different communities that love the brand, and you got to try to keep supporting them.
Yeah.
From punk rock, we did a thing called Punk in the Park, where it was a bunch of bands that were going to be playing, at a concert, and so we went out and tried to support it and stuff like that.
I love
so
it. Yeah, that's
we always
amazing.
bring the skate ramp,
Nice.
and have demos.
You bring the
So
party.
Bucky and
Got
Omar and
to.
everybody comes out, and they're skating to it. One of the best things ever was Metallica did 2 events 2 years in a row. One was in the Jersey Shore, and the other one was in Detroit on this island. And there was like 45,000 people that were there. And they asked us if we would bring skate. So the first one we brought mini ramp.
Okay.
So Robert Trujillo comes out and he'll skate over there, with Tony Trujillo and stuff.
Yes.
And then the other one was vert. So they have the main stage over here. Then they have stage 2 here, stage 3. So stage 2 is here, and we put the vert ramp next to that. So we didn't know. Metallica was playing on Sunday. That was the lead there. On Saturday, they came out as a different name. And they're right next to the skate ramp. And so there's
What do you mean they came out as a different name?
They-
They
they-
wanted to
they-
just.
they
They wanted to. They
surprised
wanted
they
to.
surprised the
Okay.
crowd. So
Okay.
everybody's up at this end listening to Dropkick Murphys, I think we're playing. And all of a sudden, they start.
Dropkick Murphy.
They start. All of a sudden, you see, like a video.
Everybody left.
Everybody running.
Yeah.
It was the end of the
Yeah, I
set.
just-
They were running. It was the end of the set, and they were running all down here. And so here's the vert ramp. And so Cab, Hassoy, Omar. I'm not sure if Lizzie was there and stuff. I know that what's his name from Italy was in there, Giorgio, and they're staring like, that's Metallica. And they all looked at each other. We could skate to Metallica as they start skating. So the guys were raising their hand,
psyched.
go man. And so they skated the Metallica live, So
Wow.
it was, and just all of a sudden 45,000 people around there.
What a
So,
cool experience,
that
huh?
was, that was
Super cool.
great.
Yeah, that's crazy.
We have the House of Vans.
Mm-hmm.
We started in New York, and now today we had New York and then London.
Yeah.
And then Metallica played about 7 years ago in London. First small venue they played in like 20 years because it holds like 1,000 people.
Wow.
And so I had a ticket to fly over and a ticket to get in because they had specific number you had to go. And Tony Trujillo, the team, was flying him over. And so I reached out to him. I said, hey, does your wife want to go? I gave her my ticket and had her go because
Oh,
they
wow.
played with Robert Trujillo, the Trujillo Trio. So I says, you go. So I got a framed thing in my office that they all signed and stuff
Oh,
like that.
amazing.
So I gave up just so Trixie could go with Tony over there, and they enjoyed themselves and
Telling
stuff
you,
like that.
man. Very, very thoughtful.
Yeah,
Yeah.
good time.
I mean, you guys have had a lot of like these moments of like, viral stuff, like the Damn Daniel thing, like that was crazy.
was-
that was
It's
huge.
so crazy how things take off like that.
It's like Fast Times. If it happens that way, it's way better.
Sure.
And those
You can't-
two guys, okay, they were such nice guys. They're out from Riverside, and he just does the damn Daniel,
Yeah.
Vans. And so all of a sudden, my niece is a nurse at Loma Linda Hospital, Children's Hospital, and Daniel and Josh are going to go there and say hi to the kids. So I make a poster up real quick. I had never met them, with their pictures on it, and put Vans on it. And my niece says there's about 100 kids that are there, so I brought like 130 pair of shoes. We went out, white shoes.
Specific
And
ones.
those kids, I didn't care if it was going to be Michael Jackson or Taylor Swift. Nobody could be bigger than Damn Daniel. And they came down in wheelchairs and gurneys with their IVs in to meet them, and they signed their poster, and we gave them all a pair of white shoes and stuff, and they signed them for about 2 hours. And just before that, I didn't realize they were freshmen, but I had brought the shoe car. I have a van shoe car in the parking lot.
You drove that thing down there?
Yeah, on a trailer, and I put it out, and I let them. Then they're driving around, and all of a sudden I go, they're not even 16.
Oh, yeah.
My God.
They're driving around the
around
parking lot, having a ball, and everybody's filming them and stuff like that.
How crazy
Yeah,
is
so
that?
that was-
Didn't
that
you
was
guys
a
give
good
them
thing.
like free Vans for life or
Yeah,
something like
yeah,
that? Like
yeah,
it's
they
so
did.
weird how stuff like
They
that
were on
happens.
Ellen
Yeah.
show twice. So the second time I had the shoe car for them to drive out on the stage and stuff too. It was good.
Wow.
That was, there are things that happen,
Yeah.
like that. There's things where, people were just taking their shoes, just like the bucket water thing when people are doing. They throw Van's shoe and it always lands on the sole.
Like a cat,
The ball
always
cat.
on the
Yep.
feet.
And so we went to high schools, out in Michigan. And we were walking through the hallways and everybody's just throwing their shoes.
But you guys probably never even knew that.
No, never knew it.
Wow.
And then now there's this major league pitcher guy.
Yeah.
That
Michael.
he what's it?
Lorenzen.
Michael Lorenzen.
Yes.
He wears Vans. He's got cleated Vans.
That's right.
He won't wear anything else. He loves Vans. He grew up in Southern California. He's a major league pitcher.
And how it happened, he's from Fullerton.
Ah.
He went to Cal State Fullerton. He was a skater.
Yes.
And so his passion, he played for Cincinnati Reds for like 5 years, then the Angels 2 years ago. Then last year he goes to Detroit, okay? I had never met him yet. And he's at Detroit. He pitches so good he's in the All-Star game, okay? And so his agent reaches out, hey, he's going to go there. Can we get some different colors? There's no problem. He, on his own, went to a third party that puts cleats on shoes. Out of
So
New
you
York.
guys had no idea.
No idea.
You're just like, hey, this guy wants Vans. Cool, give him
Right.
some Vans.
Yeah, and he put the cleats on him. So now he, gets traded after the All-Star break last year in 2023, and he gets traded over to the Philadelphia Phillies. His first game at home against Philadelphia, he throws a no-hitter in the Van shoes. And Hall of Fame calls up and says, send me those shoes. So they sent him up there. Got a picture. They're in the Baseball Hall of Fame now. Pair of Van shoes written by no-hitter from Michael Lorenzen. So right away, I got to meet this guy. So I'm saying, okay, so we have a new CEO of VF Corporation. And he calls up and he says, man, this is great because it's all of a sports center and different things and stuff. He says, can you give me his number? Because, I don't want to bug him or anything, so I'm going to give it to the boss. So he texts him and stuff, texts back and stuff. And he says, I can't believe you threw a no 124. So that's the first time I heard that. So quickly, I can't make regular shoes up, but I made up in 10 days, I made up 124 boxes that said no 124 with Michael's name on it and the date. Then I got 124 pair of those white shoes without the cleats, put them in there, and gave it to him so he could give it to his friends, family, teammates, and things like that. And then I went down to, they weren't playing the Dodgers, they were playing San Diego about a month after that. So I took one pair and I bronzed them and put them on a plaque. And so we went down to the game. Tony, he also loved Tony Alva, so I took Tony with me. So Tony brought a board for him with no wheels because he ain't going to ruin his career.
Yeah.
So
Right.
he's a great guy. I invited him to come after the season to Hawaii to the Vans Pipe Masters, and he came with his wife and one-year-old daughter. We had a ball. He went to the skate day that we had for all the skaters at the skate park across from Pipeline. He went to the surfing event 2 or 3 different days. He came to our house. We had a barbecue. Just a cool guy.
That's awesome.
And just, not, sitting there like, some kind of giant celebrity and stuff. But he's just a great guy. And he's in great shape. And, hopefully he's a free agent right now and stuff. So
So
Hope
how
it goes
does-
to the Dodgers.
Yeah, I
But
am.
like,
They've been
how
doing a
do-
good job in the off season.
How does something like that work? Do you sponsor him? Do you pay him, or he just
we don't
like, what-
have
how
a
does
line
this-
that doesn't stuff, so I wanted to just do some special things
Yeah,
for him.
amazing,
You know,
yeah.
anything he asks, I do right now for him and stuff.
I love it.
So
Super
I just figured, hey, I'll invite him over, and he came over. And so it's funny because he texted me about 9:30 at night because we left our house at like 7:30. You go to bed early always in Hawaii because you have 3 hours, okay? So he texts me, Steve, hey, I'm in the, because we had put him up at the Turtle Bay Resort, and that's where we had put our team. Hey, I'm in the lobby with all your team. We're having drinks, you know, so he just partying.
Oh, he loved
you
it,
know,
huh?
Rowan and, you know, all of the guys over
Oh,
there
sick.
and stuff like that. You know.
I love it when athletes like that just transcend their own like come back into skateboard. Like there's a bunch of them that
Yes.
just love skateboarding.
Yeah,
They
man.
grew up skateboarding, and it's so fun. To
I
watch.
didn't know and just learned this year that skateboarders like baseball.
Yeah.
So there's a whole group of baseball
Yeah.
about
Oh, yeah.
about
He likes t-ball.
Yeah, right. Yeah, no, but Rowan and a bunch of them have a team in Los Angeles. So they asked Christy, hey, for Rowan's new shoe, we want to do it at a baseball stadium. So they had to have certain things. They wanted to make sure you could have beer there,
Okay.
free food, skateboarding, baseball, lights, a big thing to show video. And so they're going all over LA. And so Christy reached out and said, hey, you know, because I said, I live right by Cal State Fulton. You know, Michael went there, so I needed some push. I could get it. But she called him up. They said, you can have beer. You can actually, down right field line, we'll open it up so we'll let the guys in the 2 dugouts can come and drink there. So there's 2 teams of about 15 or 17, 20 guys on each, guys and girls on each team, came to Cal State Fullerton. We had a game, it was like 500 people there. Free beer for everybody, free food. They had the stand, we had the stand wide open. We paid for anybody that got chipped. I had boxes of peanuts, Cracker Jacks, candy, and I was tossing the stuff all night. Uniforms. And then we had skateboarding. So they gave away $2,000. There it was. All right. $2,000.
Always with the food.
Yeah,
Hey.
you gotta have it, man. So $2,000 for all the kids that came to watch the game. They could skateboard and just show their stuff. And so between Rowan and the rest of the team guys and stuff, that Ray Barbie played the opening thing, and they said, "Hey, can you drive Rowan down to the opening pitch?" I said, "No, let his dad." So his dad, I let him drive
Jump
him
in the
down
car,
there,
okay.
and get out and throw him a couple of pitches. But this is the most hilarious. I really want to do another one, you know,
Should.
because they had a ball. Rick McCrank, hadn't seen him in a long time, you know, out there and stuff. Salva's son, I didn't know how funny he was. I mean, he's not throwing pitches; he's throwing like these things here.
gloves,
But it was,
yeah.
yeah, all right, but. You know, everybody had such a great time, and guys, girls, umpires, all the coaches from Cal State football come up. They never seen so much stuff going on, and the scoreboard wasn't that good of quality. So Pete, who works with us, Peter Derricks, he rented a jumbotron and put it in left field like this here, so that after the game was over, everybody went out there, sat down, and then we showed his video piece
Wow.
on the jumbotron.
It
Because
looked like
there was,
fun.
yeah. So I mean.
Wait, how long ago was this?
This was recent.
Yeah.
I saw all this stuff later, and I'm like,
wow.
I wish I was there. I wish I went. I didn't
That's
even know about
It's
it.
kind of like, you know, the downtown showdown.
Yeah.
Just
So
let
much
it wing,
fun.
man.
I
It's
love
good.
that, bro.
Abe's launch coming up.
Yeah. You got Anthony Van England.
Yes.
Is this his second shoe that's coming out, or is this
More than that, yeah. But
How many shoes
it's
have
the
you-
newest
how
shoe. All
many
I know
shoes
is that it's going to
is that?
be March like 23rd or something.
That's
but
coming up quick.
It's coming up. It's going to be downtown LA.
Yeah.
From there, it's going to go to Shanghai. I'm going to go.
Oh yeah.
Then it's going to go the next week to Seoul, Korea. I'm going to go.
How big is your suitcase? Let me jump in there. Let me
And
jump in
then
there.
in the summertime, it's going to be in Paris. I think it's June. It's going to be in Paris.
Okay.
So when Propeller came out years before, I just didn't get to go to the Shanghai or City when I was mad, but I got the other 9 with Alva and Cab and Asoy. That was a great time. I mean, I had never been on video premiere tours before, but
They're fun.
we had a good time out there. You know, but you know, Anthony's new shoe is going to be great.
Yeah.
And so I'm looking forward to our marketing team inside is working on a special thing that they're going to be skating and have for that. So I'm looking forward to see what happens in Shanghai and what happens over in Seoul, Korea, and then Paris and stuff. But it's a big thing when, you know, a new shoe's coming out.
What's that?
I'll put you on the list.
Yes.
Please put him in.
Hey,
yeah, I want to go to Shanghai. I want to go to But shout out to, I mean, Anthony Van England's such a great great
Straight up.
skateboarder.
Yep.
And a
much,
great dude.
so much,
Straight
so
up.
well deserved for
Yeah.
another shoe.
And
You know,
and
agreed.
just seeing, how good they skate still.
Oh my God.
I mean, you've got like TA in the 60s and Cab in the late 50s and Soy in the middle 50s. And then you come down, where different guys are just getting in their 40s, mid 40s, and they're still skating. Just
No, it's remarkable,
tremendous.
and it's very inspiring to I think a lot of like skaters. I'm 46, so
Yep.
for me to see all this is like beyond inspiring.
So
Totally.
if I'm going to travel somewhere, I'm going to try to make sure, okay, Ray's going to come on because he can skate, and I can have him play music.
Yeah, you got the
Okay?
whole. Yeah,
Same
yeah.
thing with Tony. Christian, he's just going to be, talking it up and stuff like that. Cab, but, you get those sense, hey, Lizzie, you want to go, hey, Ron, are you already going? Okay, and you reach out to, all the different characters and stuff. So when I go, I try to round it off so that I can have a little bit of art, a little bit of music, and then the legends themselves and stuff. So and we haven't been over to Asia in probably like 4.5 years. So it would be great to get back over there. I'm gonna slide into Vietnam and go to our biggest factory.
Oh wow,
Yeah,
really?
I'm gonna have all the guys make their own.
That's your
shoes.
biggest factory out there.
Yeah. So most of the factories today are in Cambodia and Vietnam. They do great jobs, and there's other ones in South America because of tariffs coming in. A little bit in Brazil, a little
interesting.
bit in Argentina for South American market, some in the Philippines and stuff. But
When the corporations come, like VF Corp now owns it. I mean, you seem to know every in and out of the business. Do you still like keep up with everything that goes on? I mean, it must be difficult, but
now, I know a lot about a lot of things, and visit our stores. To me, that's where the rubber meets the road.
Okay.
Our retail stores, I always post up on them because, hey, thanks for working with us. So when COVID came and everybody said, stay inside, you can't go to, after 3 months, I said, if my retail stores are open and they're working with a mask on, good enough for me. And Tony, Christian, Steve, they went on different trips. We visited 353 stores the next year and a half.
Okay.
We took, first time we went out for 10 days, a little bit much because you're talking to 6 or 8 stores and you're up from like 6:30 in the morning until like 8:30 at night when you're having dinner. And after 10 days, how you talking to them? So we limited, after that we did 7. So we went, first time we went all the way to Chicago. The next time we flew in, we went there over to New York. Then we went down to the eastern seaboard. Then we went around Florida. Then we went around we went to Atlanta and over to the beginning of Texas. The next time we came in, we did Texas. Getting 40, 50 stores.
These are checking your stores?
Our
or
stores.
Okay.
Yeah. And again, if it's Journeys or Zoomies or something like that, they would pop in and say hi. But
Okay.
Normally having always have swag, giving it to them. If it happens to be one of those Cinnabon places, you drop them some Cinnabons. Some Wetzel's pretzels.
Give
or
me a
something.
Wetzel pretzel and a
Pretzels.
Cinnabon any
Anything
day
in
of
the
the
mall.
week.
The wrapped hot dog. I like
Oh
that
my
one there.
God! Hot dog on a stick.
That lemonade.
But it's something that whenever we get a chance to go out, and hopefully April we're going to be Europe, and then May we're going to go out to Anthony's things over in Asia and stuff. But we're going to go to the factory. So when we go to the factories, we'll make shoes. Like I'm going to go down to Hoffman Fabric. Nathan Fletcher, his grandfather's Walter Hoffman owns a fabric company, Hawaiian Prints.
Okay, that's your thing.
Thousands.
That's your
Wow.
thing.
So I'll go and buy like 10 different 15. They don't have to buy; they give them to me. Fabrics. So 3 yards gets me a pair of shoes and a shirt.
Okay.
So I'll take the fabric with me, send it over ahead of time so they can make the upper, and then I'll make my own shoes when I go there.
Really?
The 2.5 of the 3 yards I send over to get a shirt made, so I have a shirt and shoes that make. But when we go out there, I want to definitely. So if a Soy goes, or Alva goes, or Cab goes, or Rowley goes, I'll have some different uppers made so they can make their own shoes. So it's fun watching them, make their own shoe and
Look at you.
cooking
You
them
got
and stuff.
you got all the perks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Going over, sending fabric
Why not?
over.
Why not?
you know?
So when you go to countries, like Asia, when we was in China before, we did this, and so they have like 15 press people that are with you when you go to the factory.
Okay.
So I wanted to see if I could, even though they don't understand language, I had a box folding contest for $100. So I give them each a box, and then when we say go, and they're interpreting, fold the box up. Whoever gets done gets this C note.
Are you talking about like a Vans box? Like
yes,
a shoe box.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So Soy grabs it. He wants to be in it too. Of course.
Soy wants that hundo.
Exactly. So anyway, they do. So it's just doing fun things with the
Sure,
press.
sure,
So they all
sure.
did. And here's a person finished it in like 30 seconds. and
Wow.
You give them $100 bill and
Fun stuff.
Yeah.
Fun for you.
You're having fun.
Yeah.
Are you? When are you? Retirement? What are you?
Yeah.
Are you gonna?
So,
what's going on?
I just said that I'm going to go to 3/4. So my wife's really been married for coming up on 48 years.
Congrats.
So she doesn't believe me, so she had me go to my mother's house down the street.
What
to
do you mean?
tell
She
her.
doesn't believe you want to retire?
No, she won't believe that I'm going to slow down to
Okay.
go to 3/4. So
Okay.
I've been doing it for 2 months, and it's kind of the same. But I wanted Christy, Peter, Dennis, everybody else do the things. I don't want to hold them back. Let them, get out and get to be the top dogs.
What do you mean
in
the
their
quarters though? What are you talking about? Like
So
what?
right now, my wife thinks it's 3 days, but I'm telling her it's 4 days instead of 5. But like when I'm
slowing down in that
matter.
Okay,
We're
Yes.
taking one day off.
Yeah, one day off.
But I also did that to my salary to prove to myself that I got to slow down.
Okay.
And so I'd say to myself, if I get 3/4 is better than being retired and getting nothing.
True.
And so I'm trying this. This is something that I'm just trying to
but
do.
But I think you're just having so much fun though to
Yeah.
this day.
I know, and I figure, hey, if I do this and I'm having fun for the next 2, 3, 4 years or something. My dad retired when he was like 59, and he lived to almost 91.
Amazing.
My mom's 93 and a half.
Wow.
Okay. So at some time I just, back off, but I don't know how I'm going to explain when I'm going to go over to Asia for 9 days. So she'll have me off for 2 weeks before then or something. But anyway, I really wanted the day-to-day to things everybody else can handle.
Sure.
You want me to go to Anthony's thing? Mm-hmm. I'll be there. You want me to be over here? I'll be there.
Yeah.
We're going to go do this for this? I'll be there.
Just very, very selective on how you move.
We need
right now
you.
it's still all, but it's,
We need you barbecuing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We need you at
I
these
know.
events, man. I
'Cause
feel like you're the heart and soul of these things.
I always
Yes.
said to somebody, I said, if I had my own restaurant that I spent only my time there and versus everywhere else, it would be great. And everybody says, no, don't do restaurants. They all fail and everything else. I said, but it's just, you think to yourself, well, you can spread yourself all over the world, but if you were in one place, because I always like the Hard Rock.
Oh.
Because I'm kind of a picky eater.
Are you?
Meaning I like burgers, I like fries, I like,
like American food.
quesadillas, I like
Yeah.
nachos and stuff. So if I'm in Shanghai and there's a Hard Rock, I'm there.
Oh yeah, for sure.
I mean, I don't care where anybody else wants to go. I'm over there.
You want to go to comfort food.
Because you go in, you see all the stuff with, all the music kind of makes you feel like you're back at home. So,
sure.
So I always had an idea that, you have skate stuff, surf stuff, all the stuff on the walls.
yeah.
You bring your friend in and you get to throw a pie at them for free. It's kind of
Kelly, you want to go in?
the Van Doren place, where every 3 months
Yeah,
it
yeah,
changes. It's it's kind of like a Greco. It changes colors and stuff. So I always had a dream of trying to do something. I just haven't talked the company into paying for it, so I didn't have to pay for it. But one day, it's just there's a Mexican restaurant down in Newport Beach, and Tony Hawk has different things on the walls in there and stuff. The people kind of go in, it's a good place to eat, it's the type of thing, but you'd have all the sports and stuff in there and stuff. And great food.
Sure.
You gotta have
that's
great onion rings.
that's
You
what-
got to have
Oh,
pepper
yeah.
steak.
Was it Wahoo's? I feel like it was big
I was
for
gonna-
Yeah.
like
a lot of our stuff got thrown in there. No, that Wing did a good job.
Well,
with
you
that
were
and
you
stuff,
said you were friends with that guy,
Yeah, I
right?
still
the
am. Oh,
owner.
yeah.
What about waffles? Are you a big waffle guy? Do you have a good waffle?
Bob's cooked more waffles than me because we got the waffles, okay? So we're at the snow events, we could do something hot. Like we just did Zumi's 100K and we did 800 waffles on a stick. So it's a machine, it does 6 at a time.
Okay.
So the batter, okay, you make up.
Who's making this batter though?
Well,
Bob?
we call him Sir Mix-a-Lot right now. It's actually Rhythm Hosoi. Christian's son's been working for us about 6 years.
Amazing.
And when we go anywhere, he's the mixer. He's up in Mammoth right now doing them.
But whose recipe is this?
Crusties.
Krusty.
So there's a box called
Krusty's a
Crusties.
clown?
No,
Yes, I've heard of it.
Instead of like Aunt Jemima, it's called KR Crusties.
Okay.
So they make a waffle batter. So
Now, why Krusty's though? Did you
Milk, not water.
use his milk?
yes, it says
Okay,
water. I use milk.
But you did? Is it your choice? Like, did
Yeah.
you like Krusty's so much you
Yep.
wanted to bring? Okay.
Yep. Because the other pancake batter's a little bit, it's kind of floppy and stuff.
Okay,
So
this one
Krusty's
works.
waffle mix.
Okay.
So two
Secrets
girls,
out.
two
Secrets
girls,
out, everybody.
two girls from Europe started to do something, and I eventually made a machine that had 6 of them. And they over in Europe, they put a little bubble water in it, makes it rise easier.
Oh.
So, but Chopper Dave, who worked with me for a long time, he'd get like shredded chicken and have chicken waffles. He'd put chicken in that thing.
I
You know,
love
being from
that.
Brooklyn and stuff. You know,
Ooh,
he'd add
with
it-
the syrup and everything.
I just
Oh my
had that for my
God.
birthday. Roscoe's chicken and waffles.
So at trade shows, Bob, for like 15 years, at a trade show, so let's go to ASR or you went to a shoe show or whatever and stuff, trade shows, he would do the waffles. He had to buy the mix from the people in the arena, in the convention center, and 25 gallons. I mean, he'd do it from 10 in the morning, 9 in the morning to 3 in the afternoon. Like 1,000.
What are we going to Ralph's and buying all this crusty? Like I don't understand. Where are we
There you
going?
go.
Where,
There's
yeah,
Krusty's.
yeah.
You go right there. So Bob, everybody think about you going to convention center.
Sorry, we're giving Bob a bad trip over here. He's like,
You-
oh my
you
God,
smell-
but waffles.
You smell waffles.
Yeah.
You sniff your way to our booth. That's how we got it.
Where is this coming
They come
from?
by, and Bob's got it there. You want Nutella on it. You want powdered sugar.
Yeah.
You got maple syrup. Sometimes we even bring in some real, authentic in the jug maple syrup. And then I saw berries and strawberries and stuff. So everybody knows when you go to the show and you smell that, you go to the Vans booth.
Oh.
And then he'd hand out stickers and some swag and stuff there. But that kind of got everybody. So for years, everybody started the morning off all day long, come over and get waffles because he keeps smelling them.
Yeah.
People over at Vulcan are having some peanut butter and jelly fight or something over there. We're having waffles on a stick.
Yeah.
But it was just because of our waffle soul, it just kind of tied it.
A perfect tie-in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Total
Where did the
sense.
waffle soul come into play? Like, why the waffle soul?
My uncle Jim at his house in Costa Mesa, before they started the company, had a lathe, and he made all the first molds and came up with the
Out of wood?
diamond design. No, it's actually on lathe. So there's lathes for wood. Sorry,
Yeah.
a metal lathe.
Oh, okay.
And so solid stack of iron, and he's doing it out. Came up with the diamonds, and so for the first 3 months.
Really quickly, so the what you're talking about, he would roll it? Is
No.
that how?
Yeah,
but
yeah,
it's a lathe is circular, right?
Well,
No?
this is a metal lathe that goes down. Zzz,
Okay.
and digs out all the stuff in the metal.
Oh, it's
and
almost
stuff.
like a CNC
router.
machine, like a router
Right, yeah,
thing.
CNC
Okay.
machine, yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Oh, gotcha. Okay.
Yep. So he made the first molds, and for the first 3 months of the company, there you go. That's it. Did you know? You didn't know, but I want you to know.
Yeah.
In Smithsonian, when we opened up the Boston skate park.
Okay.
That we funded. Smithsonian came out on the first year anniversary, and they asked me and Christian Assoy, who were going to be there, to bring something out to put in the Smithsonian for skateboard area. Christian brought one of his boards that might have been worth like 20 grand. Ooh, is this my kid's? But he gave it up.
He let
It's
you
really
let
a
it go.
special one.
Yeah.
And I brought that mold, which weighs
Wow.
probably about 80 pounds.
And that's the original mold.
That's one of the original molds right there.
That's cool.
So that's a outsole
And
mold.
this is what excuse me, your uncle or
So
who was it?
my Uncle Jim.
Your Uncle Jim?
Yep.
He
So
made that.
He didn't make that one
Okay,
because
but
the ones
some
we
similar.
made had left foot, left foot, right had 4 on there. That just has 2.
But so what? He just came up with that pattern.
Yep,
He
came up
just
with
said-
a pattern, and you can see from 3/4 down they're all diamonds. On that picture.
Yep.
Okay, so you see it's different in the ball of the foot. What happened was
Mm-hmm.
we found out with the flex in the ball of the foot that it connected and it cracked.
Oh,
So he had to go back in and change it to put 9 lines in there, which was like a basket weave. And that stopped it immediately.
So it
but we had to
wouldn't
replace
crack.
the shoe. If it cracked, we
Right.
replaced the shoe.
Wait a minute. All vans have. Get that van over there. Is that all of them have that? They do. I didn't even notice that.
I didn't realize that. I
even
realized
notice
it,
that.
but I didn't realize the function of it.
Yeah.
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 So,
Why?
so again,
So
other
these are
companies.
our 9 Club half cab.
Yeah.
Hopefully it coming
Yeah, we're
soon.
good. We-
Hopefully coming
we're
soon. We got the
getting
guy right here.
exercises.
Before you retire, let's
Right.
get the. Okay.
He's not retired.
Yeah, but we actually
People work with him.
we actually have an award that we give out for like the last 10 years, and it's called the Van Doren Give a Shit Award.
Okay.
And it's made with that sole and the rubber around it, and then the other side has a lathe cut out, that machine that you said, cut out Van Doren Give a Shit Award.
Uh-huh.
And at the top, again, my artist drew it, and I'm going, oh man, look at that, Chris. It's got a Dairy Queen on top. Dad, that's the poop emoji. perfect. Because I'm always thinking of food, so I'm thinking it's a Dairy Queen.
Dairy Queen.
And it's the Van Poop emoji. So that's how lame I am, this old guy and stuff like that. Because I thought, okay, good, man, we got Dairy Queen on top. No, that's poop. Okay, perfect.
So Uncle Jim, you said?
Uncle Jim,
Jim just did this. He said, let me make a sole and do this. And
he worked at Randy's for 10 years.
He worked at Randy's also.
He's 10 years younger than I did. He worked at Randy's for 10 years. So he knew about molds and he knew about lasts and he was an engineer and he knew about mechanics and stuff.
Okay.
And I never asked him why that, because again, you've got like Sperry, they got a certain sipe cut sole. You got Converse, they've got certain dot things around and stuff like that there. Yeah. And the unique thing about Vans was it's really the compound. Okay. It's the pure crepe rubber that we used in there. So when my dad started Vans, he knew he wanted to make something that lasted longer. So he made our sole much thicker than the PF Flyer at the time or the Converse or, other brands, kids and stuff like that. It was a pure crepe rubber, the compound.
Gotcha.
And then everybody talks about if you're older and you remember the early days of the American factory, you'd get your shoes and you open it up and the paper would stick. My dad was always mad at that because they didn't clean the bottom enough. But what happens when you cook a shoe for an hour at 275 degrees, 20 pounds of air pressure, all the rubber connects to each other. It all comes out vulcanized. Okay. And so the glue they put on the outsole seeps through. And you're supposed to clean that before putting in the box. So they wouldn't clean it quite enough. And so everybody thought, oh, this is a great pair. It's stuck, And so, if you were to go with a pair of shoes over to a gas station, put gas in the ground, you want to clean the bottom of your foot, you just put it in the gas and it burns it away. It kind of cleans it up.
Who's doing that?
Yeah, I just know when I spilt my gas trying to get in my car and stuff, okay.
Perfect.
Hey, it's nice and clean now.
Here's the Give Shit Award.
Yeah, there it is.
Yeah.
Yep. So the actual
Dairy Queen emoji.
That was a Dairy Queen.
Yeah. So that's just the metal part.
That's so good.
That's built on the actual outsole and the rubber around it. But that's the art right there. So again, my dad always talked about caring. And
who's getting that award, by the way?
Okay, so each vice president will pick somebody that really cared for something. I'll give you an example. So in my dad's book in the back, you'll see two of the awards. One of them was from a gentleman that works with us today, Luis. I take him on opening day of the Vans Warp Tour. It was rehearsal day. Just the bands are there. And so I lay out the 2,000 or 3,000 pair of shoes, put the shirts over here, put the beach towels over there, a little bag for them for their laundry, and everybody comes in and gets whatever they want. And so Luis spots a young person in a wheelchair, and he's paralyzed. And he's over kind of looking, and I see Luis go over, and he's talking to him, brings it over, has to take his braces off for him to put the shoe on, and then comes another pair and gets him there, and, helps him. He's there with him for like a half hour. The next day, it was the Pomona Vans Warped Tour, out in the Pomona Fairgrounds, I see this guy in his wheelchair. He probably worked for a band. He's probably in the merch area and stuff, and he's got his new shoes on, and he's cruising. Luis gave a shit. He cared enough to help a disabled person from A to Z and made his day, and he feels like he's just his band or anybody else. I'm part of the team, and that's one instance of a.
Right.
That's a giving a shit award.
Yep.
I love that.
Yeah.
Man.
It was funny because the day that I gave it to him was the day that the board of directors for VF were there. So there's like 10 executives plus 3 or 4 other executives from our place, and. They had their meetings inside, but 11:30 they were coming outside to the Grosso vert ramp that we had there at the time. It was really hot day in summer, so we had a white tent, and they were all sitting there watching Grosso, Gab, Bucky, Omar, all skating and stuff. And so I embarrassed him. I called him out, and I told him about what this award is and what he did, and gave it to him and stuff. So they understand. It's all. My dad always says it's always about the people.
Are you when you say the VF uppers, the CEOs and whatever, do you get nervous around those guys, or do you just like it's whatever?
Yeah, no.
Yeah.
That must be a trip for them.
They won't
almost.
be gone. They see ya. No, but
Come on.
I'm always nice to anybody and stuff.
Yeah,
but
for sure.
It's.
I'm just wondering because it's a different world.
Yeah.
It's
Oh,
a
it
whole
is.
different world.
It is because there's 10 or 12 companies.
Yeah.
And, a lot of them, okay, this one's the president of Delta Airlines and this one here.
Jesus Christ.
And they have, they had big responsibility before and they just happen to be on the board.
But also, like, they're making these big decisions that affect the company also, you know? So I'm sure like when they have to lay people off or
Yep.
do this, or there's a big thing, like I'm sure that hurts you as well. Like,
You don't know how much.
Charity stuff that you do.
Yeah. You know, again, like the family would do versus a corporation. So we'll go back to Katrina. Remember when Katrina hit?
Oh, yeah.
And New Orleans got wiped out.
Yeah.
The people came up to Houston. And so I grab a truck and I drive to Houston 2.5 days. And I talked to a person that I knew there, and a bunch of ladies in the school districts had things lined up. So I go to the first one, and it's like 8 in the morning. We pull up there, and Red Cross and organizations are all there. And, hey, how you doing with vans and stuff? We got hands shoes. Oh, we have shoes. So they weren't going to let me in. They had all these old shoes on the ground. And so the ladies from the school districts going, what? We okay? No, we don't need you. So they got on the drums, and they just started talking to everybody in the whole district. And by 9:30, we drove the truck to the first school, 12 o'clock the second school, 3 o'clock the third school, and the 4th o'clock at 6 o'clock the fourth school. And we went with our 2,500 pairs, and the people from New Orleans we gave shoes to. So I didn't ask anybody for the shoes. I just went into our warehouse or anywhere I could get. All the people in the stores would really enjoy that they were doing something. We didn't call
Right.
the press out and do anything.
it's
So
like
when,
Doren and Maddox, just
So-
going in and taking
Yeah.
stuff.
then
You
all of a
already know.
sudden, there's big fires up in Reading.
Oh, yeah,
a couple of
remember
years in a
that.
row.
Right.
Hey, went up there with a couple trucks. So the next one was when they had the big floods in Houston. It wasn't Sandy. It's just is a name for it. I mean, it was really bad.
Okay.
Flood the whole area. Hurricane wiped it out. So I ain't going with one truck. So I got 2 trucks and the motorhome. So I got 6,000 pairs, 6,000 shirts, 6,000 socks, hats, loaded for bear. Start driving. So we're just starting to drive, and I'm saying, okay, we're going to go. So Dennis, one of our employees, says, hey, there's a guy named Mattress Mac out in that area that really seems to know the use. So I've got a number. I call him up. I says, Mac, Steve Van Dorn from Vans. Hey, man, how you doing? I know Vans. I love Vans. I said, I'm heading your way. I got 6,000 pair I want to give away in your area. You just come to my store first. We'll take care of everything and stuff. We became friends. He's the guy, if you've heard all the big bets for the Super Bowl or the World Series, he bets like, $5 million.
Yeah.
And if he wins, anybody that bought $3,000 of furniture from him, he gives the money back.
Oh, wow.
Oh, yeah. No, he's a marketer, man. This guy's crazy. Wow. He's a great guy. Great American. So we show up there, 1,500 first people we do with his store. He had all these pallets of water given out to people and stuff. The next, as I was driving the same day, I called Kasoy. Christian, do you want to meet me because I'm already driving. Do you want to meet me in Houston? Yeah. So he flew out, met us on Thursday morning as we were going through San Antonio and then into Houston. And he goes, I know Pastor Mike. I said, okay. So I call up Pastor Mike on the same drive. Pastor Mike lined us up. So Thursday at noontime, we were at Mac's furniture place. So he's the guy, when the flood happened, he let everybody into his furniture stores to sleep on the mattresses. That's why I call him Mattress Mac.
Oh, wow.
And the couches. 250 people in both of his stores.
Wow.
The local pastors in the area didn't open up the big fancy church for 5 days. But Mattress Mac let them in the first day and took his big trucks because everything was flooded. You couldn't get in regular cars. Picked people up in his trucks and brought them to the place. So he's a legend in Houston and just a superhuman being.
Amazing.
So Christian says, Pastor Mike. So Pastor Mike lined up Thursday night, Friday afternoon. Then we went to Southside Skate Shop because I called up the skate shop. I called Southside Skate Shop. We had Saturday morning planned for him, and then another school that Pastor Mike lined up. So we had all these places lined up.
Oh, so you knew? Oh, you had him sectioned
I have to,
out.
otherwise
Okay.
I'd give them away all the first time.
Oh, okay.
So I learned that from the Vans Warped Tour.
Okay.
I give away so many
Okay.
things quick. Every day we had 24 cases of things we're going to give away and sell.
Huh.
And every day it's marked. This is, Newark, and this is,
Detroit.
Tampa, Detroit,
Okay.
All
Chicago.
labeled.
Yeah.
And so we ship out 4 days at a time, and then we put it into our trailer. And then this minute.
No, you're
and
good,
so
you're good.
Then when you're done, you're done. So we're done with those 1,500 pair. By that time, the line's all done, but there was lines of people. So we
Really?
went out, did those. Bahamas, when they had that out there, we went out to the Bahamas. We went out to Maui just this
Okay.
year when Maui the fires.
Yeah.
So we find nice people that ship. They'd ship the shoes over for free and hold them till we got there.
Amazing.
And then we went out and we had like 2,500 shoes. We had like 800 sandals, 800 beach towels. We had 3,000 shirts. And we didn't advertise. Went to the high school that afternoon that we arrived and passed out flyers. And just tell your friends. We didn't put an ad out or anything. Next day, 3,000 people came.
Wow.
We were right over in north of Holly,
I don't know.
What is it?
Lahaina.
Oh,
North of Lahaina.
Okay.
The hotels didn't burn there where the Sheraton was, and it's on the fancy golf course. They just let us set up on the golf course.
Oh, wow.
You know, sizes 8, 8.5, 9, 9. And everybody came, walked through. We had shirt for them. Kipling gave us a bunch of bags, like 300 bags for kids and women and stuff like that.
Wow.
And and the people there helped in. There were actual people that were from Minnesota, from Michigan, came up and said, hey, we heard you're here. We're here to volunteer. Just husband and wife. They were like 68 years old. We had to keep because it's hot. Go sit down for a little bit. We don't want anybody dying on our shift. But they volunteered. Friends, that I knew from associates and stuff came out with their wives and stuff. So it was just everybody got together. One day, 3,000 people came, got some shoes. That was like October. Then we went in December for the Vans Pipe Masters. And each year we try to give back to elementary schools, little kids. We make up
Okay.
a special shirt. So we flew back over there, and we got to the 2 elementary schools, 850 people, and gave them there. So I never ask permission. I don't call up anybody. We just do it.
Yeah.
Right.
You just go off your instinct.
Just, going anything left in the hallway, watch
Steve
out.
took 6,000 pairs of shoes again. Where is he? I don't know. He's halfway across America.
Exactly. That's
That's incredible though. Things happen in this world. You jump in,
Just
you react, and
Yep.
you go.
Yep.
Yeah.
No questions asked. It's
There's
great.
nothing harder that ever did in my life, and I got training along the way. Like there weren't outlet stores in the early days, the 60s, 70s, okay? There was the LA County Fair. There was the Del Mar Fair, Don Diego Tower. There was Orange County Fair where we sold off our shoes. So if you had seconds, discontinued styles, we had 50 or 60 stores. So my dad every year paid his note off to the bank in October 1st. So you'd have back to school up till 1st of September. Kids go back Labor Day. And then the LA County Fair. That was the big one. So we'd be out at the fair for years and years. And again, Bob being with me for 45 years. Christy, when she was 6 years old, was out there with her mom and dad. And we're selling shoes. 2 for $10, get to the end. Because there was a line. So I finally had to get rid of this line. So we gave them theater tickets. Hey, you're number 350. That's going to be about 2 o'clock. So we had a chalkboard, 50 to 100 right now. And so people could go see the fair and then come back to buy their shoes.
Oh,
if you wore a size 13, 14,
Oh, I
15, or
see.
16, whenever you make shoes, okay, you always have the ends left over because there's not that many big people. So I had so many, we had to lower the inventory down. So if somebody came in with a 14, 15, or 16, or 13, 12 pair, a case, $25.
Whoa.
Otherwise, going to sit there till next year. What good is it next year? Make somebody happy. They're walking away with 25 pair of shoes.
Jeez.
It's probably hard for them to get anyway.
I know.
For,
Yes.
for their,
so
you
they're
know.
the happiest people in the
That's
world.
a
Your
come up
customer-
right there.
your
Hell yeah.
customer forever.
Do you still go there? I want to come and buy some.
Yeah, I know. And so that was always but it was only for like 20 days.
Sure. Okay.
And it was always for like 6:30 in the morning till midnight. Now you get to the Vans Warped Tour, okay? It's basically 2 months on the road, okay? Every day you're up at 6:30. The buses get there. Then here comes the trucks, and they're setting up where all the different areas are, where you're going to put your booth. Then we have these white bins that we set up, 7 of them, build it, and then 10 o'clock, okay? Go greet the line, say hi to everybody outside, and then here they come. And at 8 o'clock, it's done. Pack it all back up again, and then Groundhog's Day the next
Yeah,
day.
right.
So you're up to like 10 at night, starting at 6 in the morning, and it never stops. Normally Mondays might be a day off, unless we've had 3 rainouts in 24 years. 2 in Houston and 1 in New York. So it's on a Saturday. They were all on Saturday, so we come back and make it up on Monday. So you didn't get your day off on Monday. We'd set everything up. It was pouring rain, and they find out it's a hurricane and close back up at 11, and then run into the bus and go try to do something for the day.
How do you remember all this?
My God. It's,
We got rain day, 3 of them. Houston, better, like, how does it? How
it
do
was
you
so
know this
miserable.
stuff?
You had
Like,
it down. So when we're holding on because the winds are blowing and stuff, but when it rained, everybody just scattered and nothing happened.
Right.
So I had to come up with something different. So I came up with the ponchos. So I put the clear ponchos or white poncho and I put an off the wall on it. So they wanted to buy them. I didn't want to sell them. If you came to our booth and you bought a T-shirt, we either gave you a free hat, wallet, or a nylon backpack
Okay.
for free always.
Oh.
So now when it rained, you got the hat
Mm-hmm.
or the wallet or the nylon backpack and a free poncho. So anybody went from rain, they'd come over and buy the hell out of our shirts just so they got for
They got
$10
the poncho.
They got the poncho. So I
smart.
turned a
That's smart.
disaster
Smart.
into something that's
Smart.
good. Our rainy days were the best. You know?
You guys were prepared.
Yeah. So all of a sudden, and everybody on tour, you just start throwing the ponchos out to everybody.
No wonder
there
they've
and
kept
stuff.
you around this whole time. You know what I mean? Like, this guy knows it. In the Skateboarding Hall of Fame, we can't, you got inducted to the Skateboarding Hall of Fame, which is incredible.
Amazing.
you know.
It was an honor. The first year, it's sad. I still want to make up the first year, and because the first year, again, I asked the International Association of Skateboard Companies, didn't have any money, so I said, hey, we'll have it at our skate park, so we can bring in food, and invite the first inductees.
Okay.
And I don't know why the 60s, it doesn't come into my mind, but 70s was Tony Alva, 80s was Tony Hawk, 90s was Danny Way.
Uh-huh.
Got 4 legends. The 60s, my brain's not working right now, but we honored them, gave it to them. There's like 100 and some people there.
Okay.
And now, 14 years later, when we do it, there's 700 people. I've always been the sponsor of it to keep it going and stuff. Just, to make sure it happens, because honoring all these people. So year 2, who's going to be the 70s, the 80s, the 90s person? Because you wait for 20 years, so pretty soon we got to start doing 2000s.
Right, because every Hall of Fame, there you take each era.
Yeah,
right?
so 60s plus girls. And then 70s, we've broken up to early 70s, late 70s, because we're almost done with them. 80s, early 80s, later 80s.
Gotcha.
90s, now we'll probably start going early and late and stuff like that. So it used to be, 5, and then it went to like 12. And because they're trying to, people are dying off, so they're trying to, honor them before. So this year it might be like 25 or 28.
Wow.
So
that's okay.
again, but it was
For all eras.
Of all eras,
Okay.
All
right?
eras.
Yep.
Gotcha.
And then there's always, some, industry, so like NHS, we got it one year, and Larry Bama and myself went in the same, year and stuff like that.
2015.
Yep. So
Yeah.
when, it's kind of, they have industry people, and that's how I lucked out to be able to get one and stuff.
Steve, I think they
Awesome,
need
man.
maybe a little podcast
Yeah.
division over there. You know what I'm saying?
But,
Podcast.
Our guys from 9,
Sorry?
who do all the videos and stuff for us.
Oh,
Six Dare.
Six Dare. Yeah.
Six Dare.
Yeah, the guys
for
there.
the Hall of Fame, yes.
Yep. They help and do all the videos and everybody and dive back in.
Amazing.
They've done great work with us on different projects that we've had too and stuff.
Wait, tell them where you got inducted 2 years ago.
Oh, well,
2 years ago, what happened? How do you not remember this?
I did.
Not the right sport, but
Again,
you did good.
again, 5 years ago, I got inducted into the Surfing Hall of Fame on the street in Huntington Beach.
Okay.
Wow.
And then 2 years ago was BMX Hall of Fame.
What do you mean on the street?
In front of Jack's stores and stuff.
do
they
like
have
a
all
They
the-
had a
Star.
little thing.
They have the things there where they.
He's in skate,
Surf,
surf, and BMX.
BMX.
So now snowboarding coming next, right?
Yeah, I have to show him. I have to show him my my video.
But wait a minute. What happened to which one did you get 2 years ago? That was the
BMX.
That was the
BMX.
BMX.
Yeah, out,
okay.
and they have a beautiful Hall of Fame in Tulsa, Oklahoma.
Oh,
Brand
wow.
new.
Okay.
Great racetrack, great Hall of Fame stuff for all the items there and
Wow.
stuff. And Todd from Simi Valley that has the Hall of Fame there
Yeah.
has done an amazing job, and he is always involved in the Hall of Fame.
Right.
We did it from an industry standpoint, but Todd's really the holder of the Hall of Fame.
He's
That
done a
has
great
us
job with
there.
his curation of what he's done with his
Yeah.
Hall of Fame. It's amazing.
Yep. Stacy Peralta wrote me about 2 weeks ago, and he thinks he has like the biggest collection of skateboards, old skateboards and things
For
like
sure.
that, and wants to do some kind of a curation. So I reached out to him and said, hey, when you find your spot, let us know. We'd like to be part of it. But if you want to use our downtown downtown store in downtown LA, we have an upstairs that could have music as well as like a museum thing, or we can do it like we did the Bones Brigade in the Van's skate park.
Right.
So just trying to get him back in
Yeah.
because he's such a great person, great
Such a good
storyteller
dude.
and stuff.
Definitely.
But that was a great night. Got to share that with my family and stuff
Love
like
that.
that there. And some of the riders, Christy and Tony were up there, got introduced me and stuff like that there.
Very
that was a
cool.
I'm
very
telling
cool
you,
thing.
man.
You stories I told you guys.
No, this is.
Yeah.
I mean, you've
This
told
is
so many.
so
we want
good.
you to keep coming back. Can you come back next year and next year after?
Well, these
I
stories
mean,
are actually incredible.
No, they're
Hey, thank
so
you for what
incredible.
you've done for skateboarding
Just
specifically.
like
yeah.
that Native American bead thing.
Yeah.
There's a whole story behind that. So there was a fire in San Diego, like 15 years ago, and I was in New York, and I called up Christy and I says, "Can you get Alfredo, pull shoes in San Diego? The reservation, 80% of the houses burned down." I said, "Hey, can you go? Because I'm on New York. Get your stuff and bring it down there and hand it out," which they did.
Okay.
So like a month or two later, I'm at ASR in San Diego and at the convention center. And this guy walks up to me and hands me this, puts it on my neck. He says, "I'm Todd Harder, a Native American Indian from Detroit area, and I wanted to thank you for helping our people." We became friends, and he says, "I do a skate event out in the largest powwow called Gathering of Nations in Albuquerque every year, the last weekend in April.
Mm-hmm.
And I've been doing it with him the last 13 years. Every rider that we have, from Cardiel to Ray Barbie, Rowley a couple times, Alva probably 10 times, Christian, Steve, have all gone out there. Because what they do is they have this big dance powwow inside of an arena where, like, over the weekend and stuff, there's like 100,000 people come. And there's probably 2,000 dancers. And that's on Friday and Saturday. So Friday, Todd, I reached out to Pendleton Mills, and they make native wool from Pendleton Mills up in Oregon. So I buy like 100 yards of fabric. I make shoes, and then Todd sells them at the powwow. The money he makes from that, he then goes back and helps out his local area with trying to get kids off of drugs and trying to get, at the reservations. And so it's kind of a great circular thing. And so that's on Friday. And Saturday, we go to the local skate park, and he has a skate contest and all nation skate jam. So there's always like 800 people. And so we barbecue. We give away special shirts we make up every year. We give hats away.
Is Bob there making waffles?
Bob burgers, dogs. But Bob's in charge of the line.
Okay,
Everybody
okay.
comes and they get a hat, and then they get a T-shirt, and they get some swag, and then they go out and skate and stuff. So Todd, they have a big teepee, and they have a big blessing, open it up, and then away the native kids skate.
Rad.
And so every year, pretty much sell out the 500 or 600 pair of shoes that we make up for them. And so it's a win-win thing.
So he
cool.
he blessed you with this
made
for
helping
his
people
during
with
the fires.
right? Wow. He just got
This is
he
beautiful.
just got married. Todd's probably like 45 or so. He just got married this last summer, and it was at Devil's Lake in Michigan. He invited me to come, Pete to come, Tony Alva to come. These friends of ours from Scotland, we're all kind of friends. Dee Dee from Chicago, so we all went out, rented a lake house, and he got married on a pontoon in the lake, where it's only up to your waist in certain areas. So we're all out in the water. Tony Alva was the minister, and he did the ceremony.
Wow.
And so there they all are. We all have matching Hawaiian shirts. We made some shoes up for them, and so it was supposed to be on Saturday, but there was a big storm coming, and they were going to have the reception there on Saturday in this big hangar by the lake. So we moved it up to Friday afternoon and did it before the rain came. So we're out there. They're on a pontoon up on top, and we're all in the water up to our waist. And it was probably like 6 boats, 40 or 50 people. And then the next day there was like 100 people at the reception. So we beat the rain by doing it out there.
Nice.
So it's kind of a fun story where you got a bunch of skaters, that know Todd, and we showed up there and stuff.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of friends that are Native American Indians wherever we go. Darren Thorpe. Is it? Yeah, I'm trying to think of his last name. Darren Thorpe, I think. Yeah. Sorry I messed your name up, man, but I know of you and stuff. But they'll come out and help and stuff for that. There's another skate link that ties into it.
I mean, man, you've been a part of so much skate history, and just it's crazy. It's crazy.
You have to just understand, from my perspective, in 1974, 5, 6, skaters gave Vans a purpose. Well, not football, basketball, baseball. They liked our product, and here we are 4 or 5 decades later, still. Everything we do, pyramid, top is skateboarding. Got to think of skateboarding.
That's
Love
And
that.
sometimes we get a little bit away from it. I don't get away from it. Sometimes the company gets a little bit away. Bring
right.
it back in.
Bring it back.
Gotta make
Bring it
sure-
back.
You know, got to make
Bring it
sure
back.
that those riders that we have, on our list.
Look at this
that,
list,
It's a
bro.
powerful list there.
That,
Let me
just
take a look at it.
Sure.
This is like 41 people.
Yep. That's just
That's
the
just our
global.
skate team.
That's a
just
skate team?
Yeah, that's a global skate
Listen,
team. So there's
put number 42 on there. I'll get on there
on.
easy, bro. Yeah, Van England, Rowley, Chima, Christian,
yeah.
Curran,
So much
Elijah,
history
Gilbert,
right here.
Grasso,
some
rest
new
in
shoes
peace.
coming out for Curran quick too. Yeah.
Lizzie, Pedro, Cab, Stacy Peralta, Tony
Always.
Alva.
So
Just
cool,
a-
man.
All-star
So,
squad.
Yeah.
You know,
All stars.
It's just
From all eras.
Yeah.
It's not
Yeah.
just
I know.
any particular
people,
era.
People that I really admire, somebody like Omar,
Mm-hmm.
since he was like 13 years old, he's been sponsored by us. But Omar,
He's
you
great.
you ever have a contest that you want to have somebody surfing or skateboarding or snowboarding, or you want to go do street, or you want to do bowl, or you want to do vert, or you want to do park?
Options.
Just
Yeah.
in his backyard, he's got a pool that doesn't have water in it. So Thrasher was doing an article on him, a video, and so they had people stop by for 2 days and go show him in the backyard, and they got beers over here and food over here, and then they take you in the room and do the interview, and then you go back out, and they're all skating and stuff. It's just like the Ramona Rumble. I remember going down there. We went down to Ramona Rumble, and so there's all these tents and there's a vert ramp, and somebody's relative was connected always with Grasso and stuff, but like it was just a vert afternoon. Now, there's all these tents set up. Okay, the Hells Angels are in the booth next to me. I'm barbecuing. Would you guys like a cheeseburger?
Yeah.
I mean, that's who's there. There's all these different, groups. Okay, Hells Angels are next to me. Okay, these guys over here are some kind of crazy man. Hey, I'm just cooking, man. Keep these guys fed. you know?
Right.
But those are the type of things that, you look forward to. It
For
could be
sure.
things that they have out in the Etnies Park, and they have in some kind of a whole company, but industry
Yeah.
gathering. Hell yeah, we're going to be there. I don't know. I travel a lot and go to a lot of places, but Dave Duncan is
my
at more
gosh.
places than anything in the
And
world.
you can hear him from a mile away. And he's,
and-
Dave's here.
Yep. And Hosoi gets to more places than many people. He's in San
definitely,
Diego, he's
yeah.
up there and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I still want to find out where his containers are, where he keeps all the swag that he's got.
He's probably got a
Because
whole-
he's the master of the swag gathering.
Also,
No doubt.
he's on Instagram. He's like, I got this, I got
Yeah.
this. He's like,
just found some stuff. You
Yeah.
see the Jimmy Z stuff and things
Oh
like
my
that.
gosh.
there.
Crazy.
I remember going to his house years ago, and he had like a dedicated room with like a bunch of Jimmy Z stuff, and I was just like marveling and tripping on how much stuff he had. It was
So
insane.
TA is real easy. Just we go in to get we might be up in the NHS and stuff, and he just gets this cool jacket and just kind of waterproof and stuff, lightweight. They said Christian was here last week. He had a cart. But Christian goes to our store. The best thing, we go to an outlet store, okay, because he travels a lot with us in our motorhome, going visiting stores, and he's fantastic. And so he found out that there's like these things that you can lift up. There's more shoes up above. So he wears a size 10, 10 and a half. So now you see him on a ladder and on videotape. And he's like, oh yeah. So every store he
Grabbing
goes,
the zip.
oh yeah, So we always have to ship his stuff home from a trip because he gathers so many things. Ooh, I haven't seen this jacket before and stuff like that. But having his son Rhythm work with us is just awesome.
That's amazing.
He's a great kid. We're learning a lot, and he's a mechanic, and Christian's super proud that he's been doing a great job, and that he's involved with vans and stuff.
I mean, Christian Soy, legend. You got a lot of legends.
40
man.
years this year,
40
so I got to
years.
work on a collab for Christian this year.
There we go.
Mike McGill, I'm already designed the shoes with Mike. So his McTwist is 40 years old. So maybe midsummer or so we'll have down at his store and
Man, you guys are
a
doing-
collection for Mike, and so he's what a really nice guy he is.
Yeah. You guys are doing great things with the Ave shoe coming out and the
Definitely.
whole thing surrounding that. Excuse me?
In March.
March.
Coming soon.
This is
I know.
literally it's crazy, man.
Yeah.
It's crazy. Call me anytime you want to
Yeah.
try. I'll go anywhere you want to go. I'd love to travel.
Get in the motorhome.
Let's go.
People stick their feet out of the
Never
wall.
say that because he'll always take someone's like, you want to go? He'll take you.
I would listen.
We'll do a podcast on the road, dude.
go.
Yeah.
I don't want to work. I just want to go and hang out. This is fun.
Hey, we normally at nighttime, it's always just a great thing to be around a table wherever we're going and stuff. And Christian always has the same thing because he orders last because he takes the longest. What do you think's the best? He's asking them.
Yeah.
Well, it's this rigatoni with this fish here, and then okay, you know, and he gets it all.
He's
you know what I
funny.
mean?
He's so
it's just
funny.
great. You know,
He's
it's
the
great
best.
stuff like that there.
Definitely.
So,
You got to come back if you don't mind. You
Yeah.
you got to
No,
come back anytime
no.
and come hang out with
this
us.
is-
And
you know, it's great. Really appreciate, you know, the time to share some stories.
oh my gosh,
And
You're a great
was
storyteller.
gonna say,
Yeah.
yep. So again, we said before, my dad wrote a book.
Yeah.
And it starts from the Boston area. Randy's is called Authentic.
right
Just so you know,
behind you,
yep.
right there, yeah.
And just so you know, if case it's like me, if I read a book, I kind of fall asleep. So if a book's on tape, the Audible, Tony Alva narrated.
I was going to ask.
8 hours. 8 hours.
8 hours.
He went to Hollywood, up in Hollywood for, I think 5 days.
5 days.
And he
Narrated
did a
it.
great job. My dad asked him if he would do it.
He
So My
did.
dad got to know Tony a little bit at the end and just,
Oh
you know, he was this
my
dread guy and
God.
stuff, but
Yeah.
he's just so knowledgeable about so many things and stuff.
It's so rad that your dad wrote that book and got it published and everything. Like you said, a week before he passed away, it came out.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it came out. I went with him to Barnes &
Man.
Noble in Newport Beach. He signed about 25 autograph books and stuff when he was there. And we went to the Van store, the Costa Mesa, since it was the first store. It's
beautiful,
There was 5 customers there, had him sign the books and stuff. But he enjoyed seeing that come out and stuff. And
Beautiful.
So, and future is just, you know, the new wave of how we can get more skateboarders stoked on skateboarding and the
Yes.
parks that are going up. Joe Salignia, who he'll be building the Anthony, whatever they're going to skate on,
Okay.
in March.
Okay.
And then he's going to be, you know, he builds all the stuff for the Olympics
Mm-hmm.
and, you know, helps me with our skate parks in Huntington Beach anytime I need any kind of repairs
great.
and stuff like
Yeah.
that. But he built all of those series parks around the world and stuff.
Yeah.
So
It's amazing,
Wow.
man. You've been involved with so I just thank you for everything you've done. And,
Yes.
I mean
Yeah.
it's incredible and just sitting here listening to all these stories is it's incredible, man. I'm gonna go home and I really want to make some waffles right now. I'm gonna go home.
I want a hot dog, dude.
and I'm gonna get some.
Call Rhythm up, see how the waffles going today. He's a
What was it called again? The waffle mix.
Krusties.
I'm gonna go
Thank
get
you
some
for-
Crusties and
what's his name behind me? Good job.
Raj.
Hey, Raj, way to find that Krusty's box. That was it, man. 'Cause that's the real deal. Oh, again, you can't have just you have to have a stick. So we have these special sticks that we
no,
make
I don't
over in
have the
Germany.
special sticks. I'm
We have-
gonna make them.
We have them. We'll give them to you anytime, but they have vans on them.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, because we buy them from over in Germany. The machines are made in Germany.
Oh.
Yeah, so we probably have like 25 of them around the world.
So sick. This has
Listen,
been great.
can we give you some 9 Club stuff to take home with
Hey,
you if you
sounds
want?
good. I love
Yeah,
it.
Kelly, we do the honors,
course.
bro.
Yeah.
This has been
What sizes are you?
XL.
XL? Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Bob's XL.
So, we'll give them all some stuff too, but we want to give you
problem.
some stuff. And
look at
yeah,
the
what
rowing
a-
board over there.
What
That's
a,
cool.
Yeah, this is what a journey.
Yeah.
What a journey.
What?
No, I was trying to ask the questions to the guys, you know, for the early days 25 years ago where
Sure.
they were signing posters and stuff, where today it's, you know, cameras.
Photo.
Selfies.
So-
Yeah.
So at Mike McGill's, he had a new store about a year ago. And so I went down to barbecue in the backyard. And so all the Bones Brigade guys were there. And there was a line forever. But what happens today is people bring, you know, 5, 6 things. And it's harder because you want to get all
They
the
want
people
it.
in,
For sure.
you know, and then a picture and everything, and they don't want to say no and stuff, but you got to kind of say, hey, you know, can you come in, get one thing
Yeah.
signed that we give you,
Yeah.
and then move on, but you can't, you know.
It's hard.
It's hard.
It's tough.
It's really
It's
hard.
tough.
Yeah, you don't wanna be
Especially
mean.
with those legends. The legends, everybody has something from that era that means so much to them that they want signed.
I had a blue Hawaiian shirt signed by Tony Hawk when he did his 900 up
Oh.
at the X Games in San Francisco. I got home and I'm looking, you know, my wife goes, "Oh, you had ink all over your shirt. What'd you do with it?" "Oh, I got it all out."
Oh no.
Kidding me. You know, I had him sign it that day. And my wife, she's really picky about, you know, clothes getting all done and stuff. But
She cleaned it.
So, can I tell one?
Please tell another
Here's
one.
a story.
Please, yeah.
So here it is. I hear about the X Games the first year. It's going
First
to be
time.
Rhode Island, first year, yes. So it's going to happen, let's say in July. So this is like May, late May. And I hear, okay, I got this Ron Simio's name. And I call up and I says, "Hey, I hear you got a thing called the X Games. Going to have skateboarding and BMX and all these different things, luge, and you know, I got riders and all that stuff and stuff. You know, do you have? Is there any kind of, you know, small sponsorship?" He says, "You have $2 million." I said, "No," you know, because this is the '80s. You know, I mean, 90s. It was '90s. I said, "No."
sure.
He said, "Okay, sorry." You know, so that was it. So it just ticked me off. So I get the motorhome. Now, these old motorhomes had nothing inside. It was totally stripped, okay? And I load this mother up with, shirts, hats,
Frisbee.
frisbee,
love-
everything and stuff, right?
Just
and
out of
I
spite.
drive with my buddy across the country, and then Christy flies in. Terry goes home because he's a football coach. Me and Christy drive from Philadelphia up to Rhode Island for the X Games. So now we're guerrilla marketers.
I love it.
So there's a guy named Sid, okay, from Water Brothers. Famous
Abruzzi.
Sid.
Sand Web?
Yeah.
Sid Abruzzi.
Yes.
Sid, okay.
So Sid, a legend up there, and he's got his own store, so that's going to be my home base. So Sid, I leave shirts for him. No problem. We get in the motorhome, and every day we drive around. We're tossing things out the side windows and stuff like this. I'm driving around, giving stuff away for 2 days before it starts. And all of a sudden, a policeman pulls up on the side of me. I'm going, hi. I'm thinking he's going to get in trouble for us throwing stuff out. He says, everybody else in town has your hats. Can I get a hat? So
Yeah, right. Won't you be able to get a
and that's
hat?
what RP Best.
Yeah.
RP Best was our team manager at the time.
Okay.
So he's with me. This is like, 28 years ago or something. So we're handing stuff out. Then we go to the games and stuff. And Duncan did me a favor. He put a sticker on the first time they had the camera that went from side to side. There was an off-the-wall sticker on it, right? And then Dave has Van socks on his hands. He's announcing and stuff like that there, right? Besides the shoes and stuff. So, Cab's there. Omar's there. So all of a sudden, Christy gets the word that the Nike people are looking for a dad
and a daughter.
and a daughter. Okay?
And they look at me, and I look at Omar, and I jump on Omar's board because they're like, there she is, and they skated me away.
Skated Omar away and
Wow.
stuff like that. So again, we were doing all
trying to
kinds
do
of
it
things, handing stuff out.
I love that, but
backpacks.
it was so out of spite. I love. I love
It
that.
was.
This, yeah.
It was. So that was kind of like my first time going to, and it was it was a great for the industry and stuff to get something going there, and so we had another little run-in years later with the Vans Warped Tour, and so.
You're getting the good stuff now.
Yeah. What happened?
So,
Yeah.
so the Vans Warped Tour, we're on it. And, Bob Hurley was at the very beginning years and stuff. So later on, they got acquired by Nike and stuff. So we had a Hurley stage and a Hurley.com stage. Okay. And great. It's industry. No problem. They're clothing, we're shoes, and no big deal. But they're owned by a parent company. And so Nike came in to sponsor the U.S. Open.
Okay.
And they did a big job blowing it big all up and stuff like this, okay? So I had a booth there for like 10 years, just a 10 by 20 booth, and they said, no, you can't come. So this is Steve. I'm on the Warped Tour. I got 2 stages on here, happy to have the brands on here, but I can't go to that event. Okay, so I leave the Warped Tour, I come back, okay? So now...
A spite mission.
Yep.
Here
So
we go.
we've got this thing that is kind of like the Pope Mobile. It's all plexiglass. It's actually over next to Huntington Beach Skate Park. The guy at Grinders bought it from me. And it's like a 1974 Pope Mobile. And we have a ramp inside of it. Okay? Little ramp inside of it. So we put girls in there, and then they're going to be tossing out stuff up and down the boulevard. I meet my future son-in-law, didn't know it was him, hired his company because they had these machines that you could produce every 15 seconds like a V.
Clouds.
And it clouds, it floats, right?
Oh.
So I've got a truck with these Vs every 15 seconds, so 4 a minute, going up in the air, and they just float up. Okay?
Disintegrate.
They keep going.
Oh, they keep. Oh.
I never stop.
I have no idea.
never heard
I
of
got
this
our
cloud
motorhome,
machine, yeah.
okay, and we got people in the motorhome, tossing things out. And Jack's Surf Shop is here on the 4th floor. Was there? That's where my home base was. So I had a banner made, 30 feet by 100 feet. I have Pilot Bob that I met years ago that did Daytona Beach with me and Bob for spring breaks. And he has a banner made like in 2 days. And so we had our banner fly overhead for 4 hours a day and had all these Vs flighting around. And we had all these young girls with backpacks just handing out shirts and everything else for the 4 days. Kevin, who used to be who was our president, and he worked for Nike for like 20 years. So those people called him up. Nothing I can do to Steve. You pissed him off, you know. So we were just trying to do, you know, a little bit, because we heard in the early days they used to do all this stuff. So anyway, I was just doing it to them for that week and stuff, for the weekend. So the next year did it too, and then the next year I just laid off them and stuff. I got my point across. It didn't help anything. Made me feel good though. You know, if it's good enough for your companies to be on ours, and we've been doing this for 10 years. So they kind of come in and conquer things in a big way, and then they leave to go to the bigger things. So they left, and that's when Vance came in and took it over for the next 8 years and stuff.
I think more of the story is like, if Steve wants to go somewhere, you let him go,
Right.
or else he's going to just go out of spite
He's
anyway.
gonna go
Yeah.
anyway.
Yeah. But that's just, you know, part of life.
Raj, is there any
course.
V smoke machines going out outside the studio right now?
Looking for him.
Amazing. Thank you so much. First
This
of
has
all,
been so fun, man.
dude, this has been incredible. This has been incredible.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Don't get up. We want to give you some 9 Club stuff.
All
This is
right.
always stay with your waffles. You got to stay hydrated when you're
hydrated like
cooking
that.
those hot dogs and
And it's Yeti. That's cool.
Yes.
Pete would be really proud.
Yeah, we got
'Cause,
Yeti.
Yeti, when we go to different events, they give us coolers and different things and
Okay.
items like
They're
that
very-
there.
yeah, they're
Yeah.
great. They're great. We got our
Awesome
own 9
as
Club
well.
and a mug. I don't know if you're a coffee or tea drinker in the morning. Get your
Tea,
little
I'm a tea man.
get your 9
that's awesome.
English breakfast, Earl Grey. What do you?
Yep, that's it.
Okay.
I've got nothing fancy, but I do put milk and sugar in it.
There you
so-
go. There you go.
Look at that.
English style. Stance socks.
Yep,
Oh,
good.
nice. Yeah.
A lot of
Gotta
our,
keep
lot of
your-
our friends work over there. And
There you
they're very
go.
Good, great
There you
company.
go. Gotta keep
Love
your-
how they do custom things too.
Yes.
Yes,
Oh
they know.
yeah. And of course our 9 Club hoodie. It's kind of like the same one I got on here, except it's black though. So there you go.
Proud to wear it.
Yes.
Stuff like that there.
We got other
you know,
stuff in the back.
We got
too,
other
if-
stuff.
If
too.
you want to
Yeah.
take a
This
look
is just a
after.
little, you know, little swag.
Love the set. Glad to be back up in the Venice area. We have a little store over on Washington Boulevard. It's
Yeah.
been there for a long time.
I
and,
know.
You know, it's amazing when you run across people and their passion for the same thing that you've been doing.
Mm-hmm.
I've been doing for my whole life and stuff, and share stories. The best thing is hearing some of the old legends. When you get the young people around them, they try to tell them, "Hey, don't go this way."
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, because
Yeah.
we've been there, been in prison, been addicts, and been clean for 16 years, been clean for 24 years,
Mm-hmm.
and their stories and it resonate hopefully with some of the young people.
Totally.
and stuff, you know.
Yeah, man.
We don't want you to be perfect, but just
Yeah.
keep it somewhat. Keep your money. Spend it in a nice way. Buy some
Pay your
real estate.
taxes.
Pay your
Yeah.
taxes.
Yeah, pay your taxes, please.
Don't get caught up. But again, Steve, you got to come back. Please,
Yeah.
anytime you got to come back, tell more stories because it's been incredible.
This has
Good.
been amazing.
Thanks.